Hello, Bod. We were just talking about you. But welcome to Sonata Theory's 5th anniversary. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, then when I was in college, I graduated college with my friends 5 years ago, and we were all majors in the game design program there. So our senior year capstone was to make an indie game, so we made an indie game called Sonata Theory. It's a 2D 3D type of hybrid game, similar to like the HD 2D games you see nowadays, or like games like Paper Mario, where I referenced back then at the time. And just kind of like almost a visual novel adventure, because it has a visual novel UI to it. It's very music inspired, it's very short, it's free on Steam as well. But yeah, I was the only game designer on the team, so there's a lot of art stuff, a lot of, we wanted to make something that was very pretty to look at, and something that felt like a very good representation of like a beautiful corner in a game in a really pretty demo, but then expand that a little more to have a little bit of a game loop to it, to have multiple endings. For me, having it be 3D as well was something that helped me as a level designer, having a 3D block out, but working in that 2D UI helped me get across like the two things I was most focused on game design wise. All the art focus helped all of my artist friends, and then us pushing to have it hit Steam helped our friend that was our producer in the group as well. So whether friends ended up in different industries, in freelance, or in different parts of the game industry itself, I think this project really helped us find what we wanted to do with our careers, which is a big thing that honestly is very hard to find. That's like kind of the point of college, right? Is to experiment and find out what you want to do with your life, even if it's not what you originally signed up for. I started college going into game design having no experience. I was a band kid. I wanted to be a teacher growing up, but I live in America, so all my public school teachers were like, you would be the perfect teacher. If you ever want to be happy, do not go into this industry. They're like, you have too much, you are too happy. You need to, they're like, you can always come back to teaching. Teachers are always needed, and it's a very noble profession. They're like, but if you want money and you want good benefits, you gotta go somewhere else, girl. They're like, you gotta go pursue other dreams first, was the advice I was given. So I still am interested in going back into some sort of teaching. I think maybe that's why I like to do these game design streams anyway, one day. But I was like, okay, so let me change my career path real quick. And I didn't know it at the time, but I really liked analyzing like games and did a lot of like paper designy stuff that I didn't even realize were paper designs growing up. So I felt a pull towards game design, got into that degree and stuff. But originally I thought, you think of making video games and you think of programmers hunched over their desk for like 20 hours a day, right? And coding. So that's what I thought I was getting into. I took like one programming class, realized that was not for me, and that terrified me because I'm like, how am I gonna make a video game if I can't program? Well, that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing, at least, about modern technology, that they're getting rid of an Unreal 6, which I'm not happy about. So we'll talk about that a bit here this year. But the blueprint system and visual scripting really helped piece it together for me, how to make stuff work. Is it clean at all? No, it's horrendous. It's a mess. I did not know what I was doing. It's horribly unoptimized. But I'll remind you guys, Undertale also is unoptimized. That's one of the greatest games of all time. Just not even greatest indie games, just one of the games of all time. So I'm not saying we were not Undertale by any means, but that was also inspiration for me, being like, okay, well, if it works, it works. So just being able to, it went from something being like, I'll never be able to do this, to I think I could. It won't be the cleanest, but I could make a game. So yeah, I really focused in on game design throughout like my sophomore and junior year, and then senior year, really focusing on level design in particular and stuff. And like I said, we had 3 different artists on our teams, all had like various different types of art and art styles that they were into, but they also overlapped quite a bit, so we were able to find a nice cohesive art style that everybody liked. And then we had a producer who has a lot of game industry experience as well now, and he kind of helped us organize everything together, so we were able to scope up a little bit, but also we were able to practice scoping stuff down for time. I think you see a lot of times with college stuff, scoping down ends up being, okay, what's the bare minimum we need for this milestone, and then dropping it afterwards. And there's no shame in that, because sometimes group projects in college go wrong and you gotta walk away from them. There's no shame in that whatsoever. But because of that management, we were able to be like, okay, here is like essentially end of production here at the end of college, but now we're going to take another 2 months to debug and to figure out how to upload this to Steam. That's some advice right off the bat I would give, is if you are putting a game on Steam for the first time, don't think, oh, we'll have it packaged and then we'll spend like a week getting it up on Steam. Give yourselves 2 months at least, not just for like learning how to do it. Don't think, oh, well, I can learn faster than you dumbass. I'm sure you can, but not just for that, but there's a lot of different like time sensitive milestones where they'll be like for verification for your first game. But they'll be like, okay, you made your account, now it's going to be like, I think there were some milestones that were like, you had to wait 2 weeks to get verified for some things, and then you'd pass that step, be able to upload a few things, and they'd be like, cool, now you have to wait at least a month before the next step. So there were multiple milestones like that. So even though we had the game complete and we had it packaged, it took about 2 months to actually release it to the public on Steam afterwards. And there's also a lot of marketing assets. We just did the bare minimum. We didn't have a marketing campaign or anything, but bare minimum, there's a lot of assets you had to do, where I had to keep pinging the artist in the group and being like, hey, guess what? I need like something that matches this ratio that we have no assets for at all, and we've never made, like, I had to ask around for like, hey, we need like just a clean version of the logo and we need a colored version of the logo. We need like 10 different icons that are like this size, and all different, and then they have to be re-rendered in this other style. So there was a lot of stuff that popped up during the post-production phase that I would give at least 2 months for. If it goes quicker, that's great, but plan ahead. Because even if you're moving as fast as you can, there are some forced time limits there for y'all. But yeah, that's kind of all the backstory. That's kind of all the backstory for Sonata Theory here. I still look back on this fondly. For me personally, what I've done since then is we released Sonata Theory a couple months after graduating. The weekend after graduating, I started my first official like big industry job, full-time job, working at a AA company, but on some AAA stuff. Mainly the first AAA project, and currently, I guess, only released credit I have, because I worked on a lot of unreleased stuff too, but currently the released AAA credit I have is doing arena work for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and then did a lot of unannounced AAA and AA projects after that. Then unfortunately layoffs hit a couple years ago and got caught up in that for a few months there looking for work, but was able to find it with the place I'm working at now, and I am working on some stuff for SCP-5K in its early access and beyond. So yeah, I have some stuff up in the early access right now, and then working on some stuff that's all I can say. that is all I can say right now. But yeah, a lot of our other friends have been doing stuff across various industries, doing various freelance stuff. Some others stream as well. So I know in terms of streaming, we've got our emote artist and one of our character artists on this game, Patui. I believe she's actually live right now. She's participating in an art fight. It looks like she's taking revenge on somebody right now. Her art style, she also does all the chibis here on the channel and stuff too. Her art style is great in this game, and it has somehow improved even more. It has been phenomenal to see how drastically her styling has improved over the years. So she's live right now, so if you don't know her, go ahead and go give her a follow on over on Twitch, because her streams are fantastic. And she has a cute little like mage VTuber and everything now that I know her community set up for her, and it's just really awesome to see how she's progressed over there. So she's done fantastic work. I know another one of our friends that did a lot of the UI art um, streams over at Bello. They do some more kind of like crafting stuff now over on his channel. But go ahead and check him out as well. And then, yeah, we've got friends from this project that have ended up in other AAA spaces in the gaming industry, other big spaces in the animation industry. So it's just really cool to see how everyone's just kind of progressed and blossomed out of this project. But yeah, I still like to yap and do these anniversary streams for it because I've got the giant ass Unreal file on my Google Drive still. So I like to download it every once in a while and be like, God damn, I would have done something a little differently, but I also appreciate my dedication. Like, I had the dedication to find a solution, right, in a way that I kind of miss sometimes. I'm like, dang, it's horribly hacky, but it really got the idea across and it worked. That level of like determination that I had, I find inspiring when I look back at the project file. But let me go ahead, and I've been yapping about this for a little bit, so let me go ahead and just boot it up. But again, this is a college capstone, so if you're expecting to go into this with it being Game of the Year or something, I'm sorry to disappoint you on that front. But that being said, really fun project. It really helped us focus in on what everybody wanted to do specifically, so there's not really a thing I would change about it, other than I get tempted every once in a while to push an update. I don't know how hard that would be with like the jump to Unreal 5 and everything, how messy it would be getting back into all of that. I worry I would break more stuff than I would fix it. But yeah, it's free to play on Steam if this piques anyone's curiosity at all. And I think in terms of milestone streams going forward, I'm going to start letting like the years pass a little more. Like, I think we might wait 2 years before the next milestone stream, so we might do one on 7-year anniversary instead of on 6. And then after that, we might wait and do one on like the 10-year anniversary and skip 8 and 9. Like, start letting the years pass a little more so that it becomes a little more and more nostalgic for me. Especially because I know, so this month, July's become a very busy month in recent years. I've got a work anniversary, I've got a relationship anniversary, I've got this anniversary, I've got my birth anniversary this month. I like to get my hair done close to my birthday. Usually like sister's home from college, so there's a lot of family stuff going on. Nintendo's always dropping something cool. My dog has a birthday. A lot of other friends and family have birthdays. It's a lot. It's a lot. So sometimes it's hard for me to coordinate the Sonata Theory streams. I think even I wouldn't have been able to go on account of the tummy ache I have today, admittedly, but yeah, I think even there was like another family gathering I had to dip on just because of exhaustion, hence why I'm able to stream this with the limited energy I have. So it's busy, so if we space out these anniversary streams a bit more, I think I'll have a bit more energy for them as the years pass. But yeah, without further ado, we will go ahead and get into it here. You may recognize, if you've worked in Unreal Engine ever in the UI stuff, you recognize these buttons. Listen, the buttons had to be made. Something had to be done. I did the best I could. And also, it's very charming for me to see my shitty like HUD work for this. You can very clearly tell what stuff had assets and what didn't. And you know what? I get nostalgic for that. But this animatic here was one of the biggest assets to produce. This was done basically by one of our artists on the team. The pre-production of it had help from all of the artists on the team, which again, our team was half artists. But yeah, we had the friend that's in the animation industry now. He did this animatic, and it took a few months, I believe, of full production on this. He was still balancing that with like he also did a lot of the set dressing and the environment art on this as well, so he was balancing it with that. But while this was like his on his main stuff at task in full production, it took a minute. It did take like a minute. And originally we all got very starry-eyed and we're like, oh well, we can have like one of these for all of our major cutscenes in the game. There were going to be others. When it took a few months for us to get that, and we liked the quality, we didn't want to back down on the quality. It's like we could make more of those at a lower quality, but then we were like, well, that would be disappointing because your stuff is good, so we don't want you to half-ass it, right? And he didn't want to either, so we're like, we'll just keep, if we had to keep one, like, this is our animatic, this is how we open the game, let's just keep it that way, which I think was the right call to make. I forgot where all the buttons were. That but yeah, this is our little setting here. So Sonata Theory is about our character Cadence here, and her kind of life as she enters a parallel world where everyone's like very similar but more in this like very vibrant plant life and music focused kind of alternate version of her apartment building. We have a lot of like hidden lore things that we kind of only hint at in the game that I will talk about here. So if you haven't played the game and want to just go in fully blind, then feel free to play that first and come back to this later. But also, if you just want to hear my take on it in the moment, then feel free to watch the whole thing. There's an ad break coming up. Oh, it gave me my snoozes back. Twitch is working! I can't believe Twitch is working. But yeah, as you can see here with this menu that keeps popping up. So this is our little magic music menu. So you have a soundboard that you can use to cast spells. And then I wish the meter was designed a bit better, but you have a magic meter over here that shows how much magic you have remaining. And then different spells for 3 actions you can do. Levitation lets you float around. Levitation admittedly actually doesn't have much to do with anything other than it's good for speedrunning. Levitation is kind of like a dev tool and something cool for like we wanted to do more puzzle stuff with it, but we ended up running short on time there. And I didn't have time to level design that out as much as I had to because I had to do all the scripting instead. So levitation fell short, but it's like the flashiest and the coolest looking. Charisma is something that has to do with our friendship system that we'll get through later. And then destruction is pretty straightforward. You destroy stuff. But yeah, this is an alternate little version of your apartment. So like I said, we did the 2D 3D thing, which is funny seeing how that style is really popular now, and it had been popularized with stuff like Paper Mario. We had the hardest time convincing people that this, and some people probably still don't like it, and that's fine, but we had the hardest time convincing people that 2D 3D not only was cool but was a thing that existed. Like whenever people were like, what do you mean you have a 2D sprite moving in a 3D space? And we're like, that's exactly what it is. We're like, think of a dollhouse, but the dolls you're playing with are like little sprites instead. And people were like, well, that's unfinished. If they were like, if anything in your game is 2D, then it's unfinished. I don't know why there was that thought process behind it, which is what really pushed us to keep stuff as sprites out of kind of spite. At the end, everything was like, even 2D platformers, they're like, oh, but you should make it side-scrolling, but every asset's 3D. There was like such this big focus for some reason on everything should be 3D, everything should be modern, and we're like, well, no, our strengths are our artists all specialize in 2D art, so why would we not make a game that highlights that? So I pushed for it, and I think that was the right call, because even if you don't agree with it, I think we wouldn't have produced something with charm if we forced ourselves to do any other way. So it makes me happy whenever I see an HD 2D game release, because I'm like, I think back to all those like college discussion boards, and I'm like, oh, but what are they doing? That doesn't make sense. Final Fantasy Resonance. If we ever got a remake of FF6 in that style, I'd be like, oh, well, I don't know. My college discussion board said that's a little confusing. I don't know. But anyway, here is our title character, Sonata.
Hey.
We also have some voice acting. We have some limited little voice acting in here. Shout out to the audio class that was going on during our senior year. As well as my junior year, I took the same audio class, and I helped out a team with their like little tank game starring like a squirrel that was really cute, and I did the voice for the squirrel, and I had a super edited version, and they were like, nah, remove the editing. So I did, and they're like, that sounds exactly like a squirrel, and I'm like, thank you. I'm like, well, my just voice, all right, we can work with that. I'm like, hey, it's your game, we can work with that. So technically that's my first credit as an audio role on that. But yeah, I did that in that audio class for another capstone team my junior year. So senior year, we our professor that was like our sponsor for this project also was the one running those classes, so we got to have the opportunity to do a voice recording session where everyone got to voice different characters, either like short voice lines or little like sound barks. The official term for that is like voice line barks, I think, is the more official term for those little like just quick noises whenever a character starts a sentence that isn't the full thing to save time and reusability. I used to just call them anime grunts, or what I would call them. I'm like, just anime grunts, just that's the category of voice we need, but there are more official terms for that. So shout out to everyone in that class that did it. There was someone that like went fully overboard for our villain role. That was really fun to record, so we'll get to that at the end. But they gave it their all. They gave us an evil villain laugh. I was like, go as evil as you can, and they went more evil than I thought they would, and I'm like, we've got to use that one. That's pure evil. That's pure crazy. It's going in the game. So shout out to that whole class. They were amazing to work with. But yeah, this is our kind of visual novel-esque part of it, where you get to choose options here. Now, these don't affect the overall main story. We aren't Detroit Become Human. This was a project we did for free with student loans. We can't do all that. But what we did do is I was very inspired by the way Life is Strange 2 works with their endings. So there's 2 main endings to this game, but there's 4 secret ones. And there's 2 variables to get the secret endings. One is a decision you make at the very end of the game. Which we will get to then, and then the other is based on how much magic you use. So you might think, how does that correspond to friendship? Well, how much magic you use, there is a final chapter in this game where you can progress easier if you have more friends, and how you have more friends are if you choose the right options with people. There's a neutral option, there's an option that gets you friendship. Actually, I don't even think there's a negative option. There's just an option that gets you nothing, there's an option that gets you a little bit, and then there's an option that greatly boosts friendship. And it will show you when you have a new friend as well. So, the more friends you have, the easier that final chapter becomes, if you take the time to make friends earlier in the game. If you don't, though, a way to cheat having friends is to cast those magic spells on people, right? And use that charisma spell. But the more magic you use, how much magic you use, if you use little to no magic, or if you use over X amount of magic, that will impact also what type of secret ending you get.
Oh, what are you doing, Cadence?
So yeah, we also have little character portrait reactions. We have some of them. The more important characters we have having like their uh kind of neutral, friendly, and then their upset faces as well. So Sonata doesn't like our bullshit. Or who is this? Question mark. I don't know who this is. Also, my camera is blocking Cadence. Let me move up a bit. Yeah. My name's Sonata. You're in the falsetto now. It probably looks a lot like your normal home, huh? I imagine it's pretty similar. The apartment, the plants, the magic abilities. How do you know all this?
Nice.
You ask a lot of questions, don't you? Good. Listen, I don't know how you got here. I did not do that. But do you think you could help a guy out? I'm kind of dying. Maybe. As you can see, that's a the neutral option. If you think I'm lying, I'm not. I need to find a cure. I've been sick for a couple days. I know of the cure, but it requires elements from my world and yours. You're the only one I've seen cross between them. I think you're the only one that could help. Where is the option for no? If you don't want to help, then leave. Do it, you won't, you can't. This place is way more interesting than your home was. First thing we need is blood, falsetto blood. No, my own blood won't work. I'm no shape to go exploring, so you'll have to ask around for me. Also, I did... So the overall story was written by our producer on the team. The overall structure and main story beats, he and I worked on together, and he kind of outlined the whole thing. He would like open it up and work on it in other lectures. I'm like, we're in a different class right now. He's like, I'm working on the game. I'm working on the game. he did not know what was going on in like one of our econ classes, but he knows what was going on in this story. But the actual like inputting that line-to-line dialogue in the Excel sheet, I put those in. So if some of the options seem like they were written by somebody that was just very manic and depressed, it wasn't him. It's not his fault. So our options are stealing blood, no problem. So I should kill someone, or any girls, you know.
Seriously, Cadence?
Because if you need blood, I'm just trying to be productive. When you get the blood, meet back here and we'll find the next item. One more thing, magic over here takes the form of music. I see you have a soundboard. If you need more power, plus F and then play this. Just don't rely on it. Why not? He hates our ass, as you can see. Just take it from me, power isn't kind to those with a craving for it. So that's kind of our way of like telling people, hey, you have magic, it's fun to use. There's consequences if you abuse it. We also have a journal system, and this system was in for about half of production. It was not there from the start, and then we realized we need a journal system. We put it in, and then we're like, we need better assets for the journal system. So the visuals for this actually went in right in like the last couple weeks of development. I think right before we had to turn it in. It was a last second thing. So there were actually images like used on my portfolio that are still probably up there on my portfolio that have the outdated version of this journal as well. And this was an asset we had off of the Unreal store. A lot of these, like the environment assets as well, since we weren't modelers, so a lot of these are things that came off of the Unreal store too, which we didn't spend a ton of it. A lot of stuff was either free or we spent like under $100 and like split it across the whole group. So yeah, we were very conservative with how to spend that stuff. But as you can see, we're not friends with anyone. We don't have any items, we just have the objective. And then the control button, of course. Which I think I remember the controls. I hope I remember the controls. But yeah, across here in this hallway, we have a bit of a destructible grate there. Also, again, I said this thing's unoptimized, so just a warning if you play it on your own devices. My computer's heating up. It's fired up.
Oh, hey, I'm Melita.
Here we have a dramatic woman gossiping about a man needing help to clean blood off the wall again.
Hey, you're actually
I'm
kinda
sick of
funny.
it cool. I'm sick of it too. I hate seeing all the blood on the second floor. People are going to misjudge poor bras. The name's Melita, but I don't have time to chat. I mean, I do, but I don't want to. It sounds like you need to.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm so stressed. There's a lot of work at the office and bras is bleeding out and I really just need a coffee. I could use a joke to cheer me up. Look at me.
Hey, you're actually kind of funny.
And you see, wait, that's how you become friends. That's how you become friends. You just play into it. But a lot of these characters are actually based off of different folks that worked on the game as well, so that was after. Or they're like fictional characters and like D&D characters and stuff, so that's actually the D&D inspired character from one of our artists.
Hello.
And then this is a D&D inspired character by our producer. This guy's what's up. He really liked recording laughing lines, so they all also did some voice barks for their respective characters. I'm looking for the bathroom.
You're lactose intolerant.
He has a lot of random voice line. His negative voice line is seeing if you're lactose intolerant, because this dude would just drink milk, just drink milk out of the carton, and half of us were lactose intolerant. It's like, what are you? Get that out of here. I'm drinking almond milk right now, but I wonder if my neighbor likes
Totally
fighting
right,
games.
Lord.
I bet you can't guess my order. I've been getting this wrong recently. Iced latte without espresso or
I
ice?
see you like milk as well. I like
Oh,
milk.
that's the correct one. Yeah, an iced latte without ice or espresso is just milk. I'm part of the milk fandom.
Yes.
You don't drink almond. Oh, we gotta go. We gotta go. But yeah, by making friends here, it's going to make things a little bit easier at the end of the game. Just a little bit easier. Here we have the elevator shaft that is overgrown. And then we have, I hated making these stairs, man, so don't judge me. Don't judge my poor stairs. I hated making them.
You don't know who I am?
Here we have
Minuet.
Minuet, aka Loud Girl here. And she actually, we have a prototype of Sonata Theory that we did to see if like even like the 2D 3D concept was going to work for us. So we actually knocked the prototype out in a week. We were really excited. We spent like a month at the end of like the summer like all messaging each other and planning it, and that like first couple weeks of class setting up like a game design document and like brainstorming ideas. So then when it actually came time to make the prototype, I think the actual class gave us like a month or two to prototype stuff. Actually, it might have been the whole first semester was like the idea of getting a prototype together. We got the prototype out in a week, and then we spent the rest of the semester making a demo for the full game. Basically, this first chapter was our demo as well. So we locked in. We were so excited. But originally, Minuet was one of the first characters drawn. So she was actually going to have a bit of a bigger role because we were just kind of drawing different fashions and stuff, trying different things out. This was actually a character that the artist that ended up doing more UI stuff on this project ended up concepting, because he did a lot of character work as well before shifting over into more of like the post-production type of effects, which is kind of why we didn't even her sprite ended up being unrendered and stuff because of time and that, right? So because of not being able to get that balance on that side, but needing to prioritize and wanting to prioritize the other UI assets, she doesn't end up having as big of a role, but there is a narrative reason for that as well. But it is fun. Originally in the prototype, its cadence was drawn, Minuet was drawn, and then we also used a lot of just cat PNGs, cat JPEGs and stuff floating around the space. So I'll see if I have any of the I don't know if I still have the file, or I do somewhere. I don't know what flash drive it's on. But I'll see if I have any of the photos on my Google Drive for that stuff too. But yeah, Minuet's been around for a while. She's been around for a while. Where are your parents?
Ew, no.
I'm your age! I'm Minuet, the resident cutie. Sorry, the position is filled. So you think I'm cute?
Do you ever think before you talk, or...
I never said that! Hit me up if you ever want to know about the apartment secrets. Like, I know how to get into any room. You gotta bring candy, though. I don't trade info for free. Is there a vending machine?
Sweet.
Yeah, in the lounge, but it's busted. People around here are super nice and just hand out rewards if you befriend them, though. So that's our little hint to go to the lounge as well as befriend people. If we go to the end of our hallway here, you'll see I did not place yellow paint. I placed the coolest second thing. Blood. Blood splatters are always going to be a step above yellow paint, right? It's the same thing, just a different color. But blood's just cool. My computer started heating up as soon as it saw this blood. Holy shit. This is also why we gotta stream every few years. But yeah, this is our little tutorial for the destruction spell should we want to use it. I'm not going to use any magic here, though. I'm gonna do the friendship no magic route. So if we go into the lounge here, we have another character, Brilliante. So this is not voiced by the person that it's inspired by. This is voiced by one of the folks in the audio class, but it is a character based off of the TA that wasn't officially part of our design group for this, but they kind of taught all of us how to get our shit together, and answered any question we had on game development, on life, on Unreal Engine. They were like just always like one of the best TAs ever. I can't think of possibly a better way to be a TA. Sometimes they still will like reach out or do something and be like, hey, I'm doing this, like what are your insights on this? And they're always like just like so nice. They're so nice and they're so helpful. Like they were a big inspiration. I don't know if they'll ever see this, but shout out to them. They were a big inspiration on like my take on it is possible to be really helpful and to give a lot of critique and to teach people without being an asshole, right? A lot of people be like, oh, you just have a hard time taking feedback, or oh, this is just tough love. This is how the industry is, which is true to an extent. Having been in the industry, feedback hurt my feelings some days a lot, and some days I think it hurts my feelings the most when the feedback also isn't helpful. They're like, you suck, you should hurt yourself, you made the worst thing ever, and I'm like, and what specifically do I change to change that, right? So that kind of sucks, but no, just having a TA that showed you can be the kindest person in the world and still be incredibly good at what you do, and help others. Like, people like that really, when I have bad days, just that type of mindset keeps me going. I'm like, I've become a bit of a grumpier and quieter person in the industry, but I don't want to ever be a cruel person. I don't want to ever, like, get that far. Because I'm like, there's no need to do that, right? So shout out to that TA for not only teaching a bunch of great Unreal skills, but teaching a bunch of good life skills as well. They had very heavy topics about like mental health and the game industry as well, that they talked to everybody about in lab. So we had to give them a character. I'm Brilliante. I'm a game dev teacher. Do you think you'd want to test a quiz question for me? I'd love to.
You're amazing.
Also, you automatically get max friendship with Brilliante, despite your answers, because they're so friendly that they will they will become friends with you, no matter what. Is a cool little game design thing there. But yeah, this is not why I'm called Emily Cookie Dough. I had the name Emily Cookie Dough on YouTube even before like a year before I ever took a class, a game design class with them, but this did help cement it. I think about this a lot. This is like one like lectures I took away. But if a BSP in Unreal Engine is like cookie dough, that means a static mesh is like the ingredients, a cookie, or I don't pay attention to lectures. But the correct answer is a cookie. If you don't know, a BSP is like a geometry mesh that you could edit the points of and stuff. It takes up a lot of space. It's not great for optimization. That's why you want lower, like more baked things that aren't dynamic in any way. But for the blockout stage, if there's a specific mesh like shape that doesn't exist yet that you need to communicate in your layout, you can as a last resort use BSPs, or when you're in college, I use them for like everything. I use them a lot in this game. That's probably why my computer's exploding. But yeah, the BSP, think of it like cookie dough, right? You can mold it and stuff as much as you want, but then you literally hit a button to bake it as a static mesh. That means you can't move it around anymore, but it does cut down on optimization because now you can at least move it around in that exact shape that you want with those exact features, the way you set it up prior to baking. So similar to that, you can't change what's in the cookie once you bake it, right? You can't be like, oh, I forgot some extract and pour it on top of the cookie. It doesn't really work like that. But you can bake it and then it finalizes all of that stuff and it's a cookie.
Yes, that's correct.
Here, have a candy bar as a reward for using that noggin. This was also a game design loop to be like, okay, no matter what you say, you automatically become friends, and even if you fail the quiz, you still get that candy bar. That way it doesn't lock you out. If you fail that conversation, it doesn't lock you out of being able to trade with Minuet here. So it's both something that works in character and was easier for me, game design wise. So give candy to Minuet for a screwdriver, yes.
Nice.
Now we can't use that on the door though, because if you recall, someone vented. So we open this up, you see the blood in here. And all that blood, all that drama leads to just a man with a bloody nose. This is actually based on our UI artist as well. He frequently got, the poor guy frequently got really bad bloody noses sometimes, but he was also super chill about it. Like, he would just be covered in blood and would just sit back in lectures, sometimes just asleep, just with his head all the way back though, so that he at least wouldn't get a nosebleed. And he was super chill. We're like, hey man, you're bleeding out again. And he was like, I know. So we're like, I mean, that's a good game mechanic right there. So that's the little joke with all the blood. That also was stressful though, this game's rated E for everyone, but that did stress me out while doing those surveys, because they're like, is there blood? I'm like, yes, there's a blood sprite because a man has a bloody nose, and that's it. But technically I did have to say there was no violence, no realism in any way, but I'm like, there is technically blood present in the game on account of that. So I forget all the questions I had to answer there, but another thing to consider when making your games, if there is a specific rating you're targeting, maybe research that stuff ahead of time, because there's a lot of questions for a lot of specific scenarios when you rate a game. That you need to consider stuff like this for, so it doesn't get caught later, right? My snoot is bleeding a little more than normal. Where'd you come from? You don't want to know. So this conversation's interesting because if you become, there are like 3 different ways this interaction with bras can go. The goal of this conversation is you need someone from the falsetto, you need their blood, right? He has a lot of it, so you need to acquire this man's blood. So you can win this conversation, and then you will automatically be able to have some. He'll give you some to take. And then if you fail, there's two options where it's like you can find another way to bring him something and befriend him, so that he'll give you that. Or you can, as you can see, the object above his head is glowing, which means we can use the destruction magic on it. So you could attack him. You could attack him. Or actually, there's a fourth option as well. If you're not able to befriend him, you can use the charisma spell on him and kind of brainwash him and be like, no, we are friends. I'm going to take one of your bloody tissues. And you're not going to mind one bit. So there's several ways this conversation could go in the event that you feel it, which you do feel if you keep teasing him, right? So the goal is to become friends with him. And then you don't redo the conversation if you feel that. You have to pursue one of those different options, magic or non-magic based. That was a big thing, what game design loop 1, because that's how the system that, shout out to our TA and professor for getting the narrative system working. I did not design the actual system itself. I'm not a systems designer, so they actually put one together for us to use, and then I implemented and iterated on that, but I had no idea how to put the system together in the first place. So because they made that for me, I was able to plug all of these narrative things and all of these events in and design with it, which was really cool. But yeah, let's go ahead and see. But yeah, the big thing was making sure that it wasn't something where it's like, oh, I failed that conversation, let me repeat it and try a different answer. That's not the game loop we wanted here. It'd be like, oh, you gave your neighbor the ick, right? You gave your neighbor the ick. So it's not like, oh, let me start all over. We're not doing any of that. It's like, how do you make it up to them? Do you choose, damn, let me try to make it up to them and fix the friendship? Or do you choose to be like, I'm going to hurt them, or I'm going to force them to be friends with me with magic? We wanted to make sure the magic stuff is flashy and cool visually, and fun to use as your perspective, but narratively not used for good intentions. So I think that at least is communicated well, game design wise. I'm proud of that still. I had to stand my ground, not from my own team, but just from like the game design like document perspective. It's like, oh well, there's easier ways to do this, and I'm like, I'm not doing it that way though. That's not what I want to do with this. That's not what I'm trying to get across on the world building side of things. I saw the blood and got curious. If this was a horror game, you would have died. That is true. I'm worried about you. You know I appreciate the concern. What brings you here? Honestly, I need your blood.
Cool.
Well, I appreciate the honesty. Not the weirdest thing I've heard. You want to tell me why you want my nose juice so badly? These were also all options I wrote. Yummy, I'm trying to save the life of an e-boy, and trying to find a cure for nosebleeds. I'm trying to save the life of an e-boy. Why exactly would you want to do that? One last question. Why should I trust someone that just walked into my room to steal my blood? Aren't we friends?
Nice.
We are! I actually didn't know if we'd get that or not. I was like, we might have to kill him. We got it, and we can check the journal, check our items. We see blood kit. We got the blood. So now we can roll out, and we have another friend. But because we entered through the vent, we could have also used the levitation spell to quickly get back out there. We'll use levitation a lot. I'm gonna only do 2 runs today. I think on my VOD from last year, I did all 4 endings for 4-year anniversary. So if you look back on the main Emily Cookie Dough channel, if you want to see all 4 of those, then you can get the more in-depth version of that. But I think I'm going to focus on 2. I'm not sure what 2 yet, but I'm going to do a relationship-based one and then a magic-based one.
What's up?
You got the blood. May I ask how? An honorable way.
Yeah.
In that case, we can call your mission a success. The next things we need are your world's version of milk and pickles. Pickles?
Really, Cadence?
You have a problem with pickles? They happen to be very delectable, and you're over here taking your version for granted. When you're ready, head over to the portal and we'll advance together. It's just a lot like a fetch quest.
Really?
Calling my life a fetch quest has got to be the second weirdest thing you've said to me. So then we go over to the portal and we teleport back out. And this is where all the heavy lifting was done by our artist environment friend, because I had to do a bit of heavy lifting too, admittedly, with the duplicating the level and changing which things could and couldn't have been done. But mainly the main difference here is the visuals, right? We go from this very like overgrowth neon colorful area with the falsetto to the real world, which we didn't want it to be like all the colors stripped away and fully desaturated, but we wanted it to be a lot of like beiges and tans, like even stuff with Cadence's outfit. Her headphones are actually really cool. I had made a really cheap custom version of them that like it didn't hold up well, so it like instantly fell apart after a year or so, but I did like she has like the flower headphones in that falsetto, which I would really love to customly do again someday, but they turn back into normal ones here. Her outfit's a little more bland here, and everything's just kind of beiges and like darker colors, but still not like completely, it's not like MCU lighting or anything. We didn't want to go that far because again, these are the artists working on this. We wanted it to still be cute, we wanted it to still be pretty, but for there to still be a drastic visible difference between the two. Whoa, your place looks exactly like mine. Parallel worlds are weird. Your world is so warm and comforting, I almost don't feel sick. You didn't tell me how great your life was. I've never felt like I belonged.
Nice.
I never would have guessed. To tell the truth, the falsetto bores me. I've seen more of it than I'd like, but maybe anyone would feel that way about their home. I was going through something when I was going through some shit when working on this. Sometimes I read the dialogue, I'm like, yo, they're spitting, that shit hits close to home, and I'm like, I wrote that. You do remember what we're looking for? Milk and pickles.
Yeah.
Why is your fridge empty? It's just condiments, I swear. This is all you need for a full meal in my world. You'll need to go ask around. You could do something this time. I'll be doing something extremely important, not dying. Besides, you know these people better than I do. I'll be here snooping through your stuff. Very funny.
Yes.
Nice.
What's funnier is you think I'm joking. He's gonna break all my stuff. And then yeah, similar event here to get into the house. Wah! And we can talk to all the real world versions of the people that we just befriended. I'm good, Zay. Good, Zay, that's a cool world. You seem a lot happier than you usually look. Sorry if that's a weird thing to point out. So yeah, well, where we were introducing ourselves to everyone in the falsetto, because that was our first time there. In the real world, Cadence has lived in this apartment building for a bit. She just hasn't really talked to anybody. Which I haven't talked to anybody in my apartment building, to be fair. But this is very much more of like a community lifestyle, and she kind of chooses to stay inside. They have a lot of like, this is kind of more what I imagine like, if you had like a college like building, like for post-college, like a walkable community life. My apartment building's out in the middle of nowhere, so we don't really have the vibe that this one does. But yeah, very much based on just the vibes you would have in like a university town type of thing, because we were making this in college. I'm having a good day. Do you like your milk with or without chocolate? Why are you laughing? Is there a reason you stopped by? I wanted to say milk is trash.
Do you like milk? Why? Tell me.
Alright, the door is to your left. I'll see you later. We upset him. We upset him. But here we have Pepper, and she's the alternate version of Melita. But there's actually a funny little thing here where we do kind of imply that like Pepper has a bit of a crush on on Cadence here. Kind of imply that a little bit. A little apartment crush.
No, yeah.
She's just some people are like very similar to their counterparts. Others are like very different. Like Melita's like very outspoken and gossipy and confident, and Pepper's like very like shy and stuff. So it's probably like they have the same thoughts going through their mind. They're just like one's a lot more extroverted than the other. But yeah, we wanted to give her a little crush. We had a discussion. I had a discussion with the again Patui, who designed Cadence and Sonata and Pepper as well. Had a discussion because it came up, especially with shows like Loki and stuff, right? Our Cadence, I guess maybe I should wait to discuss this till after the plot twist. But in short, it's like, are Cadence and Sonata a couple? And I'm like, I was on the fence about it. So we asked her, she's like, hell no. That is, so that's the character artist perspective, is hell no they're not, because they're just too similar. For that reason, and that Cadence doesn't officially have anybody. However, there is a little crush shared between her and Pepper. I did get the okay on that when writing stuff up. So those are the official team ships. I think that's the nice thing about having a small game, is I don't think there's ship wars because the community is so small, and it's a lot of like college students and people that supported the game while it was in development. So I think it's just quieted down a lot, and I'm fine with that. So I don't think there's ever been a ship war, but I'm setting those boundaries now in case in case there ever were to be one. You look well yourself.
Okay, cool.
Do you think you'd want to hang out sometime or go grab drinks with Hayasumi and me? I'm chilling this weekend if you wanted to do anything. No pressure though. I'd love to hang out with you.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a date, as in setting the date. See you then. Was there anything you needed? Do you like gossip?
Nice.
Not at all. Why, did you hear something? Do you want to tell me? So that's that little side that, yeah, she does share an interest in gossip, like with ooh, I just remembered something we need for later. Hold on, let me go up here. But yeah, she does have a need for gossip as well, even if she's quieter about it. Actually, I don't think this is
Nice.
aha. Garden photo. Yeah, so this is a little secret thing for later. Took a photo of the garden. It's pretty pathetic compared to the falsetto, but maybe someone can use it as inspiration for their project. That'll be important later on. That'll be important later on. But there's this whole rooftop area here. It's actually, I think, like pretty cute, especially in the falsetto. But it's a fully optional area. Yeah, until the very end of the game. You kind of teleport up here. But yeah, originally that's where we wanted a ton of secrets for the game to be. But alas, it did not end up. It would have like added scope to like having to do full development on this game a bit longer as well, which wasn't really the plan at that point. We were like, okay, well, we do need to get this game out the door, because a lot of us were like moving or had like life stuff or had like jobs and stuff starting, so we're like, we've got to move into post. We still kept up with post-production for a couple months and after graduation, but we're like, we want to party out for our actual graduation and like not stress about game stuff. We want to hang out as actual friends, and then we want to be able to focus on life stuff while still getting this game out the door. Offer a gift for Pickles? Yes.
Sweet.
Also, I think that means we just bypassed this whole conversation, so maybe I shouldn't have done that. You want more pickles? Yes.
That's really awesome.
Well, since you asked nicely. But yeah, if you don't have a gift, so a gift would be, I believe a caramel macchiato? Caramel latte? Because this friend liked caramel, and then other friend liked a white mocha. So if you get either of those drinks from the cafe, I'll show you guys the cafe for fun, then you can trade with them to max out their friendship. And you need max friendship with this character here so that he's kind of hoarding all the pickles. So he's like, you can't have any unless you give him a gift or unless you befriend him. He's like, I need to know you're chill. I need to know you're cool. And it's funny because he's not this way with food at all. He's like very much the quiet one in the group, but that's why he has always like the best shit to say. But he was also the designated pickle friends. Like whenever I actually grew to like pickles on my sandwich. But even still, if we were like in the full group, I'm like, I'm not gonna let the full friend group know that. So whenever, I think one time we got like a giant like party thing from like White Castle with like all like probably like 50 of those like mini sliders. And we just all put the pickles off of each of them and had them in a stack just for this one friend to eat. He's like, why am I the pickle friend? We're like, cause you like them. Cause you like them. And he took care of them. He solved the issue. So that's a little nod to that. There's a lot of little nods to friend dynamics in here and stuff. Because if you're gonna make your first game with a friend group, then you gotta include a few references to said friend group and just kind of immortalize it. Another cute thing in game development is like putting in like little pet pictures and stuff. My cat is in a game. Does have a picture in a game. I'm not gonna say what game because it's not necessarily one I've worked on. Actually, it's not even necessarily one I've worked on. His picture just made its way into a game. And then I'd like to get him in like more stuff as well that I make. He's in on one of our current Unreal Sandbox projects that we're doing on stream. We put his face on a flag that floats around. But that's another cute little thing. Just little ways to personalize. Like, games are made with love, so if you can find a way to personalize it, you shouldn't make the whole game about you, but if you can add your personal touch or something makes you smile in it, those are always stories I love hearing about game development things, and it's stuff people do like to see. So I don't think you need to be scared of personalizing your game like that, especially if it's an indie game. That's why people want to play it, is because of that personal touch. But as you can see, this is destructible, so if you don't want to befriend him, you can also explode the kitchen. That's always an option. But yeah, if we look over here in the cafe, you can order a drink. We got the caramel coffee, iced white mocha, and then our iced latte, no ice, no espresso. I'm actually gonna grab the white mocha because I think that's what Hayasumi wanted. Got a drink from the cafe. Wonder if I could trade it for a cure ingredient. Well, we got the pickles already. I should have grabbed the milk. Oh, wait. I forgot what I was doing. That's okay. There's still a way to get milk. Also, this is Bert. So this guy, Bert, I think he also has a falsetto counterpart. So both of those are based off of our professor that helped us and was our capstone advisor. He also did all of the music for this. So if you look up the Sonata Theory soundtrack on Spotify, you will be able to listen to all of this music. He did the full album, and he really wanted to. We're like, oh yeah, we want to do a game with like a lot of music motifs, and having like a few songs and stuff would be cute. Kind of cool, right? And he's like, please let me make a full soundtrack for the game. He loves like writing music anyway as a pastime, alongside doing personal game dev work. So like doing a full soundtrack for his capstone group like was something that made him very excited, and he's like, please let me. I'm like, absolutely. So yeah, we were able to get that in. So shout out to him because it's awesome. I love listening to it every year when we do these anniversary streams too. It just takes me back. The only thing I did music wise really was a few of these soundboard things. I used Reaper to kind of like make a few of those cues. I do have a music background in that I was in band for 7 years. But then I really did that throughout high school and stuff. Not as like I was in band, like, oh, I was in it, I attended class. I was in band. It was my life. I was in like 10 extracurriculars involving band. I was after school, usually like 5 hours after school every day, doing various different band things. I was in like 4 band and music related classes like at a time. It was half of my schedule senior year. So I was in that bitch. I kind of just stopped in college because I know you can juggle marching band and being in class at the same time. I know there's a lot of hardworking people that do that, and that becomes their social life, and that's a really good outlet. But I knew for me personally and how my brain works, I knew I needed to focus on game dev for me. And that made it very scary because I'm like, how am I going to get that social outlet? Luckily, met a lot of scary people. Met a lot of scary people, don't get me wrong, that were terrifying throughout college. But also I met, I would say, some of my lifetime friends. We barely talk, honestly. We talk like every few months. We'll be like, hey, what's up? Are you doing well? Cool, that's awesome. But we did go on like a Disney trip with some of them. I even was able to introduce them to my boyfriend. And we went to all 4 of the Disney World parks across 2 days. We park hopped. I planned it all out. We were exhausted by the end of it, but it was a lot of fun. I think some of the most fun were like the downtimes in between everything. Like obviously we had to hit all the cool main things, but like the downtime in between rides, just like sitting around at the end of the day in the parks and then like going back to the Airbnb and playing like Mario Party, like those were core memories for me, and we really want to go again. So that became kind of my I was really worried, not even about the music stuff so much as like, well, I'm so used to even not being an introvert having like music as my social outlet, but I was able to find that with a group of other game devs, so that was really nice. But yeah, that's my music background. So I did a few of the little jingles, I would say, for the soundboard, and I helped like go back and forth on revisions for the soundtrack. But the heavy lifting's all done by the professor. He absolutely carried. And he was proud of it. He's like, you know what? That's a flex for a college indie game to have a full soundtrack. He's like, y'all need to flex that. I did my work here. And he did his big one. So shout out to him. My name's Cadence. I bet you, he also voiced his own characters. I bet you listen to a lot of jazz music. If you haven't caught on, cadence as well as all of the falsetto characters and the falsetto itself are all different music terms. And they weren't just named to be named for cool things. I did try to incorporate a little bit of narrative relevance to all of that. Like a cadence is often like a kind of repetitive type of thing, and kind of like something that comes afterwards. So it kind of is meant to be like cadence feels very kind of trapped in a loop. There's still something very cool, still something very special about like in marching band cadences slap, they go crazy, but you can also start to feel kind of like in a loop a bit, and taking place after everything a bit. So that's kind of like where she is in her life and what kind of brings her to the falsetto in the first place. It's just kind of that feeling of wanting something else. And then yeah, the game's called Sonata Theory because that just slaps. So we actually came up with the title and then we're like, well, Sonata would also be a cool name for our secondary character. So that's how those came into play. The falsetto, just sounding like this alternate version for our alternate world. And then our villain's name, which hasn't been revealed yet, but our villain's name is Silencio, which is when you completely cut off everything in music. Complete silence. The lack of just anything on the sheet music. And that's what our big bad will be. Any tips on moving here? Move out. I find enjoying the simple things like jazz and ramen, and you know what? I still stick by that. W Professor. Actually all took us out to like a ramen place when we finished the game, and that was really fun. And he also drove us too, because I'm like, I could drive us all there, but I'm like, I'm gonna be real with you, I'm gonna need to drink that sake. He's like, oh, you won't get that buzzed off of it. I'm like, I'm going to. I'm like, it has been a semester, I'm going to. But that was a lot of fun. Really good food too. Like, we only ever went there once because I moved away from the area later that year, but I was like, damn, I kind of miss it. Luckily I'm by a lot of good ramen places now. All right, the milk. Okay, so here's how you get the milk if you grab the caramel drink, or the ice white mocha. Is you come over here, offer a gift for milk. Yes.
Yes.
We gave him his coffee. Now we get the milk. Got the milk for my world. Why do people go crazy for this stuff? I mean, I kind of get it. In a latte, I kind of get it. Got the milk and pickles. Yes, but I ate some of them. Understandable. Despite all the plants, the falsetto hasn't had natural produce like this in year. Devin and Zay would go nuts for this stuff. It's finally time for me to heal up. Were you cursed by any chance?
Nice.
Yeah, actually, I was, but I knew when I met you that things would be okay. I had been using my magic for healing, but I dipped into the destructive side of things for a bit. I don't want you to end up how I did. I could never wish this upon my friends. Let's make this cure. First we mix the falsetto blood with the genetic magic tolerance. Then we add the milk from here to strengthen the body. Because milk makes your bones strong. That is the narrative reason for it. Is all those got milk ads were on to something. And the pickles? Oh, we don't technically need them. I just really wanted some. Hopefully it wasn't a bother. So if you ended up killing Devin down there for the pickles, then that's on you. You should feel bad about that. Here goes nothing. Thank you, Cadence. What if it makes you explode and die? That'd be sick.
Really, Cadence?
He don't. It is really fun to piss him off, because actually it doesn't impact the story as much as we originally wanted it to. We actually wanted there to be another thing to trigger different endings originally, based on your friendship with Sonata could lock and unlock different things. We fell short due to time so it's just kind of more of a bragging right. Or like an extra achievement would have been nice, but like I said, scope creep hits. Scope creep hits. But yeah, here is Sonata healed up, and when not to sell out Patui here, but when I told her, I'm like, hey, so we do cure Sonata in the main story on the crypt path, right? So we do need a healed version of him. She was upset. She was upset. She's like, he don't look as good. I'm like, girl, you're the artist. What do you mean? She's like, well, he looks better when he's all sickly and he's got all the blue on his face. I'm like, well, it's not about that. So if you prefer 6 Sonata, so does the artist. So does the artist. I think he looks lovely. He's not sick. That's the point. You don't look like a tired college student anymore. Tired students wish they looked this good. I can't remember ever feeling like this. I was always struggling. Then I was waiting to tell you until I was sure the cure worked, but there was actually another component to it. The drinker has to take it in their birth world. But you're from the falsetto.
Really?
I thought so too. When I heard that I was from another world, it sounded crazy. But even before the cure, my body doesn't feel constantly torn apart here. My mind isn't in constant agony. The only way I was able to stay alive and sane was through music. Falsetto beings have magic running through their veins, but anyone can use music to channel that power. I used to have a flute I would use for healing. Originally, the third act of this game was going to revolve around fixing his flutes, and then it would have been a co-op thing, kind of, where he would help you in the finale. Scope creep hit like a bitch. I wish if we had one more chapter, I think that would have been a good chapter 3, and then having our chapter 4 the way the final chapter is right now. I would have wanted to do that. I think we originally were going to have more chapters than just kind of like 3. But we had to scope down due to time, so that one kind of ended up getting cut. But yeah, the flute was originally going to be another plot beat where you would get to bond with Sonata a little bit more. But these chapters each took multiple months to make, and then when you're like trying to finish up this last one in like the last month, there's no time. There's no time for another chapter. I feel the same way using my soundboard.
Yeah.
Really, that's interesting. You did seem more full of life in the falsetto. I wonder if I was stuck there, then did someone end up over here? Could it be Silencio? Cadence, the falsetto is slowly being corrupted by a being known as Silencio. Silencio feeds off music, magic, off power until there's nothing left. And I served them. I worked for the villain of both our worlds. Yeah, my friend.
Nice.
Thank you. Because I had interacted with both worlds, Silencio believed my magic abilities would be stronger, but they weren't. When I learned how expansive Silencio's goals were, I refused to use my magic for anything other than healing. So they stole my flute, stole my healing, left me to die. Could you go into more detail on the fate of our worlds?
Nice.
We would need to go on a heroic mission to stop Silencio. They are seeking to use the power from one of us to extend their corrupting reach over to this world. But regardless, it's only a matter of time before they silence the falsetto and its people. I know I've already asked so much, but I need to go back, find my flute, and stop Silencio. Will you do it? What's one more adventure? It won't be easy, but you and I are the only ones that can do something about it. So yeah, we have a little plot here where these are kind of like two sides of the same person, hence why they share like the same apartment and the same amount of space, but they got swapped. And now you've got Cadence was born in the falsetto but ended up in the real world, hence why she feels out of place a lot of the time, and hence why Sonata was sick in the falsetto, because he didn't belong there. And hence why Patui shut down the romantical implications. She's like, nope, they're just really good friends because they're kind of the same person. And that where you're gonna fall in that debate really is up to how you felt watching the Loki TV show, which is fire. You should watch it. Ships aside, you should watch that show because it's just one of that, and like WandaVision were just the peak of Disney Plus, for real. I don't know what's really going on anymore with it, but I've kept what's left of my flute locked up here. It's pretty beat up beyond repair. I don't need to survive anymore, but I wish I could help. It's that NPC energy.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good way of describing it. It looks like Silencio knows we're back. The sky is going dark. They're an entity that consumes music and magic to leave nothing behind. They're probably going to target you. Great. We need to confront them and be ready to end this. If we lose, you'll be no more than their magical puppet forever. I believe there's a way to seal Silencio's power. Magic used for selfish reasons corrupts one's soul, which is why I ask you to not use the spells I already gave you unless it's an emergency. Magic used with the assistance of others is pure and powerful. We will need it as much help as we can to bring down Silencio. How are we going to do that? I'll write a new melody, one that captures the beauty of the falsetto and your world. If we pull this magic from the residents, then Silencio won't be able to touch either world. The spells you already know are 5 notes, so try befriending 5 different people. Once friends, record the note that you associate them with in your journal. Use the portal to go between worlds. We'll write a song based off the people strongest to us and play it to defeat Silencio. Gotta make friends,
Nice.
gotta. So yeah, now we can go back and forth and make our 5 different friends. So I know we already have a few in here.
Do you have any whole milk on you specifically?
Oh yeah, I have the milk. It's milk too.
Oh, totally right, little one.
So I forget, he might actually automatically become friends with you post, even if you upset him, but in this chapter, because you have a bit of the milk left over from the real world, he detects that and he automatically becomes your friend. So we've got 1 friend, therefore we got 1 no. You do have to, even if you're already friends with people, go and talk to them, so you can record it in your journal, and so you have something to do. But again, a bit less work, or I guess you just have to walk by them. Or not?
Hey, I'm Lolita.
What is it? You want to hear some gossip?
Hey, you're actually kind of funny.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, you do have to talk with them. I'm like, what went off? So I'm actually gonna go down. We didn't check out the 3rd floor in the falsetto, so I'm just gonna go down here and do a little walk around. This is the, so back with that Bros thing with the bloody nose, right? So there's laundry running in one of these machines. So if you were to if you needed to befriend Bros, but you were mean to him the first time, and you didn't want to use magic on him, then you could go get some clean laundry for him out of the laundry room, and that would make it up. You also can't order from this cafe because they're having a little difficulty.
Hey, I'm Riff.
Hello, I'm Riff. Man, I would love to talk about JRPGs. I'd rather talk about Guild of Average People, League of Legends. What do you think of Persona 5, or First Fantasy 15 is underrated Final Fantasy 15?
Lot of jazz music.
Completely agree.
I'm Riff, how are you?
Have you played that game in the lounge yet? So originally, my professor was like, oh, you should make a whole mini game, and I remember this being like the last month of development.
Nice.
I remember just looking at him, I'm like, I'm tired, boss. I'm not gonna do that. I'm like, incredible suggestion. I would love for it to happen. My mental illness is taking over. I cannot make a game within our game. Like, that's a fun thing to think of now, like, having that energy to do something like that. But when you're already trying to make, like, one game and you get told make a mini one inside that, it's like, oh my god. Because that's hard to do in college. It's hard to make any type of game. Even a mini game is a project in itself. But yeah, if we did at least incorporate it in that it goes into the journal and you get a little gamer ticket. And then we can take it back to him and be like, I played the game in the arcade. And we can get some gamer cred and we can become friends.
Hey, I'm Riff.
But yeah, I think we'll grab... Actually, we could technically... Let me show off the levitation spell real quick. Now I just walked all the way up the stairs, but... All this closed again. Okay, that's a bug. That's my bad. That's a bug. Never mind. We'll do that on the next one. Let's go to the real world and grab our last 2 friends from there. So it is possible to befriend everybody from one world or the other. Yeah, I do like to just go through and talk to everybody from both worlds. It's kind of the intent is for you to have friends from both, but also for you to think about, well, if I only did stuff in one world, why did I do that, you know? I'm just happy to talk to you. She got a crush for real? And then you'll also notice Minuet is not present here in the real world. Now, the development reason for that is because we already didn't have enough assets and we didn't have enough time to give her more assets for the falsetto, and like her shit's like kind of outdated and unrendered anyway. So it was like, well, we already are kind of pushing including her in the shipping version for the falsetto. Like, we don't have anything for her in the real world. But narratively, the thought process behind that is to get your gears turning as to like why. It's kind of, we left it open-ended intentionally. I do have some ideas in my head for like why that would have happened that preside a little bit more over others, but I don't want to give a definitive kind of answer. Maybe I have on previous streams, but I like leaving it open just to like ask questions of why would somebody have a version in like the falsetto but not in the real world. Did they move away since it's an apartment complex? Are they somebody like drastically different? Are they just not home on this given day? Right? Or did something like more tragic happen to one but you can still persist in the other world? Who knows, you know? So yeah, she does not have a version here, and there is a cool narrative reason behind it. But development-wise, it was a scope. It was scope creep kind of hidden. Also, hello, Scarlet Fame. How are you? So I think we did already... We did befriend you as well, Birch. I don't know why it's repeating this
JRPGs.
conversation. But yeah, now we have all the friends. Now we have all our friends. So then, that is the main gameplay loop. I think on paper, narratively, the whole, like, reassemble, like, this instrument before the final boss does sound cooler on paper, but I was, like, game design-wise, I really want to do something with the relationship meters and be like, hey, you do have to have, like, connections to 5 different people in the different buildings so that you can progress the game. I wanted that to be I wanted all those relationships basically to have a payoff, and since we weren't able, as an indie team, we weren't able to do like a full like grand narrative for all of them, right? Most of them just get a couple lines at best, so it's like, how do we give that a gameplay like importance to it? So yeah, that's kind of how we wanted to wrap all of that up. But now that we have everything, we can proceed into the final fight. Went to church and walked around outside. Ooh, I would walk around outside, but 1, I don't feel the greatest today, and 2, it's hot as hell outside. It's hot out there. It's so hot, even my boyfriend that likes to walk around, outdoors and doesn't mind the heat as much came back and he's like, it's a little toasty. That being said, my cat is fully toasting in the window now, so he's going to be like 1,000 degrees. You ready to end this? Born ready, can't wait to leave this dump. And then this is maybe my most my most stressed option I had put in the game at the time. I remember writing this narrative option at like 4 a.m. At like 4 a.m. The month before we wrapped this project up, and being like, I was like genuinely thinking like, do we give people a way to back out of this conversation if they're not ready to do the final fight yet? And then I'm like, well, what else would they want to do? Right? But I'm like, it's good game design practice, but I'm like, we don't have that built into this system for you to be able to back out. Like, I didn't know how to do that at the time, so I just ended up writing as an option, no, the designer is not going to script a different option. I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that, man. She sure isn't. Let's head to the... So I just had to put a little... That was me breaking the fourth wall and screaming, help. Help me.
I have been waiting.
Cadence, I'm so happy to see you again. Again? Also, this is the evil laughter I was talking about. Shout out to that one guy in the audio class where I'm like, I need somebody that can record... like, do an evil villain laugh for our villain character. And he's like, oh yeah, I guess I could try. knocked it out of the park. Knocked it out of the park. It was just this guy just chilling. Just the whole class was like, I guess I could try doing an evil villain laugh. Just went all out. Just went all out and went full evil on the mic. Walking's the only exercise you could do. And walking's a big part of it. There's no shame in that. Like, you don't know how exhausting walking is until you, like, walk, like, a bunch of miles in, like, outdoor and, like, rougher conditions. Or even just in general. And you're like, goddamn. Like, walking around a theme park, that'll humble you and be like, I gotta do more walking. So walking's the GOAT of exercise, honestly. If it's all you can do, you are more than set. You are more than set. Because I can't do it most days. It's too hot outside. I will be back to walking outside when the leaves are crispy, falling off the bone of the tree. I'll walk outside again. For now, it's the indoors for me. Also, thank you, Lamal. Happy Sonata-versary. Again, for all of you that have been following, like, since the college days, it's been 5 years since this released. So it's been over 5 years since I graduated college as well. We are all collectively unk. It's been a lot of time. We've met many times, Cadence, when you were but a child, when you were in your room, wishing for something new to brighten your life. That voice you hear from time to time, it's been me. This is also where we kind of hint that the little sprite you see in the animatic at the beginning, that leads you into the falsetto, that was Silencio, baby. That sparkly little fairy, that was them acting up. That was the great evil. Don't say that. Oh no, it's been 50 years since I graduated. We're all in the retirement home. Open your eyes. See, you are a talented young woman. Magic comes easily to you regardless of if you choose to practice it. You were born in the falsetto, my child. I moved you as part of an experiment. Imagine my surprise when I visited you as that sprite. Oh, I forgot we straight up say it here. Only to see you found your magical connection all on your own. I opened the portal simply so you could return home. It all makes sense. And at the center is the failed prodigy Sonata. He was destined to be of importance, but was too weak to join me. Today I realize his role as he brings forward the most powerful magic user the falsetto has seen. I'm not the evil entity you think I am. I am a being that wants to silence all the chaos and noise of the world. People fighting, emotions running high, a world screaming in pain. I hear it constantly. In fact, you've started to hear it too. I thought everybody heard background music. Only main characters can hear background music, my child. If you hear ringing in your ear, that might be a great evil. No more pudding, nurse. I remember when Sonata Theory was in development. If you say that shit in the retirement home, you're losing pudding privilege. They're not gonna know what you're talking about. This was a very small game. They're taking away that vanilla pudding from you. They're saying, okay, you're on Jello time. Are there people that, unless you prefer Jello to pudding, I didn't think about, are there people that prefer Jello to pudding? You know, in that case, that's a punishment all on its own, I think. That's just an issue on its own. If you choose to stand by my side, we can save both of your homes. You will become a queen fit to do whatever you want under your rule. The universe can be shaped by you and you alone. I'll become a ruler without you. As strong as you are, you will never be strong enough for that. Go ahead, try out that flimsy spell of yours. So this is actually the first time we've cast a spell all game, but that was intentional. That was intentional, right? Gonna hit them with there are Paper Mario sprites hidden in the code. You remember the prototype. You see, that's that that's that 5-year knowledge right there. You remember the prototype of this game. There are also cat JPEGs and there's a SpongeBob clip in the file somewhere as well also. Making a mess. But that's intentional, right? This, not the SpongeBob thing, but being able to play through this game without using any magic was something I had to push for, because a lot of people were like, why would you waste, you know, if that's your main mechanic, why would you waste it? This is a main mechanic alongside the friendship mechanic. It was very important to me that you could play this with using magic a fair amount, speedrun it using all magic, which we'll do after this, or to not use it at all, because you are warned against it. So I felt like a really cool thing. You could tell I was definitely inspired by both like Life is Strange 2 and Undertale a bit. This was my like pacifist route kind of version that I was very intent on. I was like, you should have options in the, I wanted to make sure there were options in the gameplay, not just dialogue options, but I also wanted to have dialogue options too, because this was very visual novel inspired, so I wanted to balance both of those. Goodbye pudding. So you could also, I think, I don't remember if it works here. No, it doesn't work in the final battle. The numpad is bugged, but you can usually use the number pad for your soundboard. Because that's why it's numbered the way it is. I do like the, I think those are my favorite effects our UI artist did, are the effects off of using the soundboard buttons. My professor really wanted to just cook. So I gave him these, actually I'm trying to remember what came first. That is the evil death scream that the guy playing the villain also did. So again, shout out to them. I'm like, not only do we need an evil laugh, I need you to like die on the mic. And he did. Excellent work. Excellent work. No notes. In fact, I think we might have done a couple takes, but I heard that one and I'm like, it's gonna be that one. It's gonna be that one. It's also very funny to record that in just like a college like lab building. I think it was around that time of the semester where you have like those bright-eyed like freshmen also touring the halls. They're like, and in here you'll see game dev students that definitely aren't being worked to death. And there was probably a tour group in the building that just heard someone scream like that out of one of the labs. And I hope that helped inform their decision. I hope that they were ready to deal with what going to college in general is like. I hope that was... I was also that kid, I know we're listening to the fire music right now. I was also absolutely that kid that when like walking by parents and stuff, I'd be like, I can't believe I failed that exam and I have to just die now. And be like, the dining room food sucked, or be like, I can't believe they charged me that much for your room, and just say like crazy outrageous stuff that was kind of like half true. I wasn't always fully lying about that stuff, but as I passed tour groups and they'd be like, oh, I tried to warn them. Or like I did mention once, I'm like, I can't believe there was a cockroach in my laundry. That was true. That was 100% true. It wasn't in there when I took my laundry down to the laundry room. My laundry got dirtier because I took it down to the laundry room. That's the type of finances we were dealing with at that dorm I stayed in senior year. That was I'm pretty sure that was a social experiment that I got put into. Anyway, my professor cooked on this song. I wanted to get to this part. He cooked. But we can tell the villain, cool story, bro. There are others like you that will never return home. I connected these worlds together. They will crumble without that connection. You think using friendship to defeat me is a happy ending? This isn't how the story's supposed to go. Your future may have been thrown into absolute chaos. The portal will fade away with me. You will lose those new friends of yours. In the end, you will lose everything. Were your choices worth it? Of course. This isn't the end. Now, here's the thing. It is the end because we had to ship this shit. So it is the end. We did a cadence. I was born here.
Nice.
Girl, yes. Oh my god, you'd think she hadn't played the game. If I was born in the real world and got brought here, it must have been a trade. You were taken from the falsetto at the same time, because we're each other's counterparts. Of course you're super powerful. You stayed alive in the wrong world for that long without ever realizing it. I think our adventure's coming to a close. We have to get you back to your world. The portal's about to close. With Silencio sealed away, I don't think it will ever open again. But
Seriously, Cadence?
we don't have enough time. We both have to make a decision right here and now. I know I wasn't born here, but you cured me, so now I can live anywhere. I want to stay and help fix this place after everything that's happened. You have falsetto magic running through you, but the other world is your home. So I hate to ask you to make a choice like this, but regardless, thank you for saving my life. I haven't made my decision. So here's where I was very... music gets loud here. Here's where it was very Life is Strange 2 inspired, right? We have a main decision you make for like, do you go here or do you go back to this place or do you stay where you are? Life is Strange 2, slight spoilers, has a similar decision where it's like, do you proceed forward or do you stay where you physically are? And like decide what to risk. There is a secondary choice though. There's a secondary choice based on how you played all of Life is Strange 2 that also has to do with magical powers. It's based on how you raise your little brother in Life is Strange 2. If you raised him to be a bit more conservative with his abilities, and to be a bit more like thoughtful and mindful of everyone else, or if you taught him to use those abilities as like a defensive measure, even if it gets a little violent sometimes, but to prioritize your sibling relationship above everything else, using that magic. So it depends on how you raise him. There's not a right or wrong answer also. Like, you can't say, especially with the tones of that game, I wouldn't say using magic. It's kind of implied to be corrupt here in our game. That is our take on it, because that's the story we're telling in Sonata Theory. In Life is Strange 2, I do like how they do it better, because it is more like, okay, so they're kind of very power heavy, lots of violence, but a lot of those things prioritize just how much he did want the brothers care for each other, whether it's a good ending or bad for them after that point, how much they did care about each other, and how cruel the world, horribly cruel, and the racism in that game that is dealt to lead them to that moment. So you can't say that those are wrong decisions. It's just, is that how you chose to raise the younger brother? And there's some stuff, the endings where like you choose to have him like be a bit more conservative with his magic and focus on just being a normal kid instead. Those endings play it a bit safer, but also, are they happier endings? Because some of those endings make me angry and really depressed. And I think that's a very good balance that they did. So that was inspiration for this here. We have Stay in the Falsetto because Cadence really likes the falsetto and stuff, and she does make a lot of friends here. That's why we start the game here in the falsetto. And she does technically, this is her birth world, but she's lived her whole life in the real world, and she started reconnecting with people as she got more confidence and stuff. She's got a crush in the real world that we imply. She is able to, because she's just got such a strong connection with music, she would be able to rely on that as long as she had strong connections with others as well. So we leave this up to the player, kind of like, where did you feel the most at home? There's not a definitive answer for where we think as a team that Cadence belongs. It's really just, as a player insert, what would you choose in this situation? Cat jumped off a ledge, tossed some things, I'll come back. Racist. Not in this game. No, not in Sonata Theory, but in Life is Strange 2. Oh, that is just the best Life is Strange game, man. I get angry looking back on people that criticized it too much, because they were like, oh, it's unrealistic. 2026, that shit's pretty realistic. That shit hits pretty realistic, like 10 years later, right? I really want to replay not only Life is Strange 2, but Life is Strange 1, and I actually haven't played all of like the newer studios Life is Strange games. I would love to be able to like do a Life is Strange binge of all of them, including the ones I haven't played on the channel, because I've been wanting to replay 2 for a while. But I know that it's like 1 and 2 are infinitely better than the newer games, but I still want to give the newer games a chance, and I want to establish my thoughts on that as well, right? I also just I love choice-based games. Even if they suck, I'm like, well, they're still gonna be fun to play. I think they're a lot of fun to play. And we haven't played one on the channel for a while. I can't remember the last time we did a choice-based game like that. So I know we're very busy for the next few years on the channel, booked with stuff, but that's another like milestone thing I'd want to do, is binge all of them, just all at once, just knock them all out, because they're a lot of fun. And I am fond of the original Life is Strange as well. I think I like that one a lot more, like gameplay wise. I just really, the only thing I didn't like about the first one was Chloe got on my nerves. I think she's really important for the culture. Really important. She got on my nerves a little bit. She'd be like, do something. I'm in a situation where I'm gonna die again. No, I put myself in that situation to annoy you. I'm like, girl, you're being a bad friend. You're being such a bad friend right now. You gotta lock in, girl. And then the ending being like only 1 or 2 choices where your gameplay didn't matter. That's what stuck with me actually making this game, is I'm like, I want to make sure that the friendship and magic systems affect the final chapter and the secret endings to this game. But yeah, thank you for stopping by, Lamal. Happy Sonata anniversary. So for this one, I'm gonna do Return to Real World, because I want to get my favorite bad ending for this game for our speedrun. So we'll do Return to Real World here. With that, I headed home. I know I wasn't born there, but it's still where my heart is. Goodbye falsetto, goodbye music, goodbye sonata. I do really like this picture. This is one of my favorite ending kind of pictures that we have. I was like, these actually, so originally we did want like an animatic for like we were gonna have just 2 endings originally, and then have like secrets, but we wanted those to all be animatics like the beginning of the game. Like I said, that one took our friend like months to do, so we were like, okay, this is one of the prettiest animatics I've ever seen in my life. We obviously can't put you through that again, though, like 6 more times. So, with that in mind, I ended up reaching out. I'm like, hey, I really want to do secret endings, both for me, like narrative design wise, and as well as like we can have those be achievements. And I'm like, could we do like a still image for each of the endings, the 2 main ones and the 4 secret ones? And I ran the ideas by all the artists in the group. And I was nervous. I'm like, I don't want to add too much more work to your guys' plate. We're trying to get this thing across the finish line. They got super excited though. They locked in. They were like, absolutely. They were like, these are cool ideas. These are cool ways to draw up the characters and stuff. So this one's a very dramatic goodbye through the portal. That was very inspired by an episode in Infinity Train book 2. If you guys have seen Infinity Train. That shit like came out I think a few months prior. Like during the development of this, and it stuck with me. I was like, that's gonna impact my mind for a long, long time. But yeah, here we got our very small team. So yeah, our main team itself was 5 people. We had our producer. I did all the lead designer because I was the only one, but mostly a focus on level design and scripting. Then we had our 3 different artists. One focused as our like art director and doing the visual development and the environment development as well. Then we had our main character artist, also with some of the asset design seen in the journal as well. And then we had our concept artists and motion design and UI stuff. We had a couple other folks helping with different production, audio, and QA things as well. We had that whole sound team from that class, and their respective voice acting parts too. So yeah, we were a very small main team, but we were very fortunate to have the help of our professor, TA, the audio class, as well as, again, a handful of other people that also wanted to like co-work on this, that came in kind of the second half of development, that we could kind of like help them out with. We have all the assets listed, some from most of them from the asset store, but a few folks actually like made a few like one-off assets as well in the game. So yeah, first game release from Mage Studios. That naming's actually pretty funny. The naming Mage Studios is just kind of like a play on like a magical mage, but spelled May-J. So some people pronounce it May-J. It is pronounced Mage Studios. Because we all like magic girls and stuff. If you watch Patui's channel, her VTuber is like a magic girl. And stuff, so we all kind of liked that vibe, hence why we made this game, right? But yeah, I think we had to submit a name for our like college project, like the first like milestone. We had to submit what our team name would be, and we realized we would also make this our company name and stuff for releasing this game, so we all kind of stuck on it for a while. No one had like any good ideas, and I think there was a night where all of us individually, we weren't collectively in a room like having a party or something because it was COVID, but I think all of us individually were buzzed off of different things and in the group chat, and the quiet room was actually like, I don't know, like call it something like Mage Studios, and then he misspelled it, and then he's like, call it that, I don't know, and I'm like, you don't think I will? He's like, no. I'm like, I'm submitting it right now. It's Mage Studios. I'm submitting it. And everyone else is like, yeah. And then we woke up the next morning and we're like, okay, it's a cool aesthetic. It's a cool aesthetic because we did like the aesthetic. But yeah, the negative is that everyone always pronounces it wrong, and we're like, okay, we do have to live with this forever now. Okay. And that's fine. That's all right. But it was a last minute. The assignment was due at midnight. We were arguing over this, buzzed out of our minds at like 11:45 in the group chat. That's how college goes, and that's how college goes. This was without a doubt a college capstone project, but a lot of really great college capstones we saw. Still, it was that hard push to be able to actually release something, so we were very proud. We know it's not the greatest game in the world. I'm sure many of you watch this and are like, I could do better. She's so stupid. Why'd she do it like that? If you think you can do better in this world where the game industry is absolutely collapsing, please do better. Like, that's not even me trying to antagonize you, but we need more people to get out there and like try your best and do better. If you want to see a change, start making that change, you know? So yeah, I use this as like inspiration to be like, we were able to push through it. A lot of really great people aren't able to. A lot of really great projects never will get almost finished. I worked on stuff professionally that was great and just shelved for who knows how long, if it'll ever see the day of light. There's a lot of stuff I don't know if I'll ever be able to that I've worked on. I don't know if I'll ever be able to talk about with y'all, but that's what makes it such a miracle whenever a game is able to release. So just being able to have something on Steam, even if it's not the greatest, even if I messed up a lot of the optimization and I wish I had time to flesh out a few more things better game design wise, I'm still so happy that we were able to all collectively like release something and have a Steam game release on our resumes, like getting into places. That's a huge deal fresh out of college. That's a huge deal. So I'm very happy about it, and I hope that's something that can inspire other people just starting out in game dev as well, is to be like, don't be too self-conscious about your early work. The important thing is going through the process and believe, as cheesy as it sounds, believing in yourself is a really, really important thing to learn. Sometimes more important than the actual like hard skills you're learning is the soft skill of being able to have the confidence to do this in the first place. So yeah, motivational rant over. We did get one of the secret endings because we used minimal magic, and we also chose the real world. So this is the ending for that. 5 years later, I've been able to befriend my neighbors here. Even though I wasn't born here, I've been writing songs to heal myself and others. I feel happy thanks to my time with Sonata, but I no longer feel the call of the falsetto, so I'm going to travel the world. It's time for a new adventure. And you get this little scrapbook that she made. This little scrapbook she made of her friends, dedicated both to her friends in the real world and the ones she made in the falsetto as well. And this is actually the same journal that you use in the game. So it's that same design, those same stickers that you get as well. So this was a really cute compilation of everything, showing that the falsetto definitely changed her life for the better. But it's important that she used it to grow as a person and go out there and live her own life now. So that is the real world ending for Minimal Magic. We're going to get one more ending today, but it will be one of the falsetto ones. So the real world ending if you abuse magic, because again, we want you to use magic if you think it's cool, but not to abuse it. Like that lets you speedrun our game and it's really cool, but we'll get you one of the magic based secret endings. So the ending if you abuse magic but then choose to put her in the real world is you're cutting her off. You chose to put her in the normal spot where the only connection to magic is like through music and friendship, right? You cut her off from the magic world with all of the magic in it after you have her use it the whole time. So if you cut her off, she kind of goes through like a bit of withdrawal and ends up not making a lot of friends. She ends up sitting in her apartment all day and we have this image of just her kind of like in the shadows staring at like her soundboard on the floor. Like she's been regretting her decision. She's been trying to find a way to get back because she's like, I felt such a connection to like the magic more so than like the people, but now I don't have that anymore, and what do I do? So it's kind of like there's not definitive good and bad endings for any of these. There's not a definitive right choice to make and a bad choice to make. It's all based on your perspective, but yeah, it's the perspective of if you played a magic based game and then took her out of all of that, she would be a little depressed as a result. So she's a little sad. There's a sad ending there for that one. And then the falsetto ending where you use no magic. So if you don't use magic but you still choose to stay in falsetto stuff is still a good one of the good endings, I would say, because you made a lot of friends on your journey, so you just get to hang out with the ones you made in the falsetto. So you and Sonata like actually use some of the stuff that you took from the real world and grab before that portal closed, and you're able to start a garden in the falsetto and tend to the crops there, and like you have a friend group and everything, and you've settled in just fine. So yeah, the minimal magic stuff relies more on befriending more people to get through the game as that option instead of speedrunning it. So as a result, both of those secret endings, if you use, I think it's like magic 0 to 3 times total, I think. I don't remember the exact value. So there is a little bit of wiggle room with it, especially since we tutorialize it if you want to use it a couple times to learn it. We don't want to punish you for that, but yeah, it's kind of the process there of rewarding you and being like, it seems like you prioritize getting to know the characters a bit more, so those endings reflect that. Why are the cars outside so damn loud today? I'm trying to stream! Goodness! But now I'm gonna show you what happens if you speedrun with magic, because I do like speedrunning it. Especially when I was playtesting this shit, I did like to speedrun it a bit, right? I wonder how fast I can get through this. So you do still have to talk to Sonata. And you do
What's the
still
matter?
have to wait for the pop-ups.
Nice.
We pissing him off.
Nice.
We pissing him off.
Yes.
Really, Cadence?
That's right, really Cadence indeed. So we're just gonna go ahead, right off the bat, break into Bro's room, steal his blood, and get out. So how we do that is we cast the destruction spell here. Is my num lock on? Hello? Voila. We're in the building.
Hey.
Actually, oh, I didn't even mean to talk to him. Let me just be mean to him. Let me just be mean to him so we can show that we don't get the tissues by being mean to him. And then I'll show you guys how to actually get... You want to give him a bloody nose? We'll give him a bloody nose. You don't want to know how I got
No
in
way.
here. Don't worry, these nosebleeds happen all the time. People gossip about you.
What are you talking about?
Hand over the tissues or else. Why you want my nose juice so badly?
What are
Yummy.
you talking about?
Hell no. One last question. Why should I trust somebody? I'll fight you.
No way.
We got all the worst options. He does not mess with us. So if we wanted to, if this point, if we genuinely were like, oh, I was just trying to be funny, I still want to befriend him to get the blood and not use magic, we could go do his laundry for him to help him out, and then that will fix the issue. If we want to be manipulative here, we could use the charisma spell and befriend him. Be like, no, you want to give us the tissues. He'll be like, okay, we're friends, I'll give you the tissues. I love the destruction spell, baby. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and cast that again. Again, whenever you see like the little red default, I think that's a default effect that I used on a plane. So I know it doesn't look great, but it works. But it works.
Sweet.
So that lands on his head, and would you look at that? We got the blood. And now we're also going to use our magic to levitate back up here. Oops, I messed that up. Wait a minute. I like that one. I like doing that one. You use shift and control to kind of float around the space here. So yeah, this one doesn't have a lot of purpose other than like just speed running to avoid the stairs. You can use it with the vents here. You can use it to get up to the roof from outside, and you can also use it to get up through the real world through the elevator shaft a bit quicker.
What's up?
Got the blood. May I ask how? You may not.
Really?
Why my world? Blah blah blah. Sounds like a plan. Then we'll go over here. I think we still need to talk to him first.
Really, Cadence? Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
There we go. So yeah, milk and pickles. Milk and pickles. Zoom. Trying to decide how I want to do this. So yeah, we'll just grab the milk here. Iced latte, no ice, no espresso.
Sweet.
That's milk. That's just milk, so we're good there. And then, yeah, we're going to use destruction again here. Actually, so you can bring those up to look at the spells, but you can just play them from memory too. There was a point in development I had all of these memorized. I still kind of have a bit of muscle memory with it, but it has faded, which makes me sad. It feels like when you can't hear the bell anymore in the Polar Express, whenever like things that were muscle memory for you start to fade. Like I feel that way about some high school marching band routines sometimes. I'll be like, I have some actually still memorized. Like I have the first 4 sets of like my first ever marching band set back in freshman year, so like 9 years ago. I have that ingrained. I would go forward for a bit, slightly up for a bit, and then a little to the side, hold, and then there'd be a beat change, and then very quickly go backwards. So I have that chunk down, and I know I ended up on the left side of the field when I start on the right. So I know there's a lot of side movement through there, but I don't remember like the exact beats anymore. And that makes me a bit sad, because I'm like, that was in my mind permanently for so long, and it's not there anymore. That's how I start to feel about some of the Sonata. That's why I like to record them too, is because, and why I'm going to let myself have a bit more of a gap between these anniversary streams too, is I am going to start foregoing over the years and be like, oh, I forgot I did that. So I want to record my knowledge of that now, and then let it be a surprise to me a bit later. But I'm gonna go ahead and cast the charisma spell here on bro, so I can show how that one works. Cause yeah, he's not friends with us right now, but are you friends with us now? So we'll go ahead and we'll answer badly.
No, you couldn't improvise your way out of a paper bag.
Move out.
Nice.
I bet you've never
So we
even heard
answered
of me.
all the wrong ones. As you can see, he's very grumpy about it too, and yet we're still max friends with him. Why? Because we are. Because we are. I'm gonna show what, so yeah, you can use it up the elevator shaft, but there's also this whole outdoor area, as well. And this is originally where if we had more time, we wanted to do more puzzly stuff. Nope, I messed that up. Hold on. Reload that. But yeah, there was definitely going to be more outdoor sections in the larger scope of things. But we decided to keep it just to the apartment building, but outdoor facilities like basketball courts, gardens, just further stuff down the street as well, would have been nice. Oh, there's a visual- whoa, there's a visual bug right here that I've never seen that. What's going on here? Did I use a- oh my god, did I use an actual, like, cube instead of a hidden blocking volume? I don't think that one's set to be invisible. I think it's a glass texture here instead. Weird, I think that's the only spot, though, because they're all meant to be blocking volumes. I think that was an asset swap that went bad and saved incorrectly. Well, that's fun. You would think after 5 years and after a full year of development total on this game that I would know all of the bugs in the game like the back of my hand. No. You find something new every day.
Sweet.
Yes, I have the milk and the pickles. Back blah blah blah, backstory, backstory, backstory. I'm allowed to make that joke because I wrote a lot of stuff. I'm allowed to joke about it.
Really? Yeah.
Now we go back and we begin the final chapter, but you might notice, Emily, you haven't been friends with anybody. You've just been grabbing stuff without talking to people. Yes, and that is where it will be important to use the brainwashing spell. You'll also notice we have like used all 3 of our spells that we can use per chapter. We've used all 3 of those.
Nice.
In the past 2 areas,
What are you doing,
and
Cadence?
max that out. So we're going to keep doing so, because I think it's like 9 plus, or maybe 8 plus uses of magic triggers that secret ending. Are we friends now?
Hey, I'm Lolita. Yeah,
Yes.
I just think it's kind of gross.
Again, we make her upset, but you know what? She's friends anyway. That's the manipulation and the
Nice.
brainwashing.
Hello.
Though we don't need to do that for Zay, because he's chill.
What a disappointment.
So that's 2 of our things. I'm gonna say we go ahead and we... Actually, nah. We'll just, cast Charisma on someone else. Actually, nah, let's just go back to the... I'm trying to think. There's so many different ways you can, like, spam magic here in the last part of it.
Nice.
Actually, let's be genuine with you.
Oh, jolly right, little one.
Oh, that's not enough. Brainwashing it is. I forgot where it was in the song. Oh my gosh. What'd he say? Wait, what did I have him say? Something about video game girls? What'd you say? Wait, wasn't that re-triggering? Wait. Did he say video game girls could throw me off a building and I'd say thanks? Is that what I had him say? That checks out, actually. That's absolutely something. That's actually something he would say. I was like, what? Who wrote that? That's the fun thing about replaying your work. I'm like, who did this? For better and worse. I'm like, oh. I would love to replay some of like industry stuff I have out there. I've always just been too
Yeah, I think so.
scared though, because I'm like, I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to stir trouble. I just want to like reminisce on some of my other work, but I don't, even though it's technically like allowed with released work, I don't know. There was like a lot of weirdness around like my first AAA project and like when we could talk about it that I've just been like, better safe than sorry has been my mindset ever since. I've been like, well, I would rather just be safe and keep to myself about it than risk upsetting like teams and groups I would want to work with later down the line. Because I personally like hate when stuff gets leaked because it does nothing. It honestly doesn't pressure. It's not showing the publishers who's boss. It's not gamers being entitled to know things, right? It's you're seeing something out of context before it's finished, which isn't fair and gives you a bad impression, and it sets the devs up kind of for failure, and it just really sucks for devs. It really does nothing other than hurt everybody involved other than the publishers, because they get grumpy about it, but that's about it. I would say they get grumpy and sassy, but they are fine because that gets taken out on the developers. So Why did that not work? What? Oh, because I'm out of magic. I'm out of magic, that's why. We gotta just befriend you.
No way.
Oh, he hates us. I know where we can get an automatic friend, though. Brilliante, aka RTA. Their alternate character in the real world, which we haven't seen yet. Yeah, they'll automatically befriend us. Can we be friends?
Dude, you're amazing.
Of course. I was like, I know where an automatic friend is. But yeah, I always try to be better safe than sorry, just because I'm like, that stuff, it's simultaneously no big deal, but also just like the big sad. But I would love to, maybe one day when I'm like, if I'm still streaming whenever I like, with the way the industry's going, I don't know if I'll be out of the industry in like a few years, or like when I retire, if I retire like an old age after making video games for several decades. I have no idea when that place would be where I'm like, okay, I think I'm done. I'm going to just reminisce and talk about this from like a past tense perspective now. No idea when that point in my life would be. But yeah, if I'm still streaming whenever that point is, which I hope I will. I don't see myself, even with all the life changes going on, I don't see myself
Really, Cadence.
putting streaming down permanently anytime soon. There might be points with like the moving stuff and like any future life milestones and like career stuff and the creative burnout especially, where I might need to give myself like a hiatus in the future or something. But I'm just at a point where, even though we're a small channel, and I know that's probably like pathetic to a lot of people, this has been my comfort space to talk. Just to talk for years has been the important thing for me. It's never been about numbers. It's always been about me just being able to feel comfortable to talk about stuff with you guys, and hopefully inspire other people to get that confidence in themselves. So I don't see myself wanting to permanently stop this anytime soon. So I could only hope there would be a point in the future where I'm like, okay, let me do a career overview with y'all. But most I can do right now is be like, I worked on some arenas in AAA, AA, and indie games, some of which are out there in the world, and you can check out. And give y'all the big ol' thumbs up emoji. I got a sneeze, oh my god. Oh, thank god I muted in time. I was about to I was about to disrupt your eardrums with a sonic explosion. Alright, Silencio, don't be so dramatic. Don't be so dramatic. Also, there's an ad break coming up, but I'll keep yapping before we get to the actual end credits scene I want you guys to see. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'll snooze it. I'll snooze it real quick. Screw it. I'll snooze the ad break because, I want to see the ending.
Nice.
And I'll probably take that ad break afterwards, real quick. So we're going to, after spamming magic, we are going to stay in the falsetto. I know I grew up in the other world for my whole life, but the falsetto is my true home. Plus Sonata is here, and he's my first real friend. I want to live out these adventures forever, so I stayed forever. Yay! So that's them walking away from it, happy to be friends. But the portal disappears behind them. So then we go into our credits again, which, by the way, this poster was another poster that our friend in the group, acting as like our art director and stuff, and did the animatic, did a lot of the environment set dressing and all of that. Also did this very sick poster. I actually, when we move, I want to get posters of like all the games I have like level design credits in, which currently are 3, including this one. So I want to get this poster of Sonata Theory up to have like either in my, if I have an office space in the new place we move into, or like in the background for streaming. I don't know if it would be directly in the background or not. I'll have to think about how I want it to look, and that depends a lot on wherever we end up going. But I want this poster, I want the Wonderlands poster, and I want the SCP-5K. I'm torn between what poster I would want to use for that, because there's some really cool sick art we have for that title. But I do have one in mind. That was like more of an early access asset, but I do have one in mind for like a particular update. I think it wasn't the first update to have my work, but the first major update to have a new like section that I did on my own, kind of like my first new map. But then I also have like I do have a favorite update that I worked on as well. So I'm like torn between one of those or just like waiting for something more official. But I'm like, I definitely want like the 3 big posters for my 3 credited releases just to have up. Because being in the industry now, I know like there are people that have been in the industry for like 5 times as long as me. And like they're like, yeah, I don't actually have any credits. I've worked on a bunch of stuff. I have a ton of experience. I've been in like AAA and like working on my own personal stuff like my whole career, but like nothing's just made it to shipping, which is why I'm like, even if you have something small like this, if you have an opportunity to like get something shipped and get something published and out there, like you gotta take it. If it seems like a small opportunity, if you're able to do that, if that's something you want, because again, there is absolutely no shame. I think some of my favorite work I've done, I don't think will ever be shown to the public. I don't think I'll ever be able to fully talk to you guys about it. Life-changing work. Favorite things I did in my career, though. So there's no shame, absolutely, in that stuff. But it's all the more important on like game credits just being an absolute miracle to acquire. So yeah, if you guys have an opportunity to do that with your own indie work especially, then push for it. Don't worry about it being perfect. That doesn't mean rush it just to get a credit. Don't do that. But make sure you see the full picture and make sure that if there's a finish line you guys want to get to, push to get to that point. Not via crunch, not via slacking, but just with planning and seeing what do we really want from this project, right? But here's one of my favorite endings. This was the secret ending that the artists were also the most jazzed about. I was like, I need an ending of an evil Cadence on a throne with a scared Sonata behind her. And they ate that up. They said, yes, scrumptious. I love that idea. I'm like, we need it. Again, there's no bad endings. It's all perspectives. But we needed an evil queen type of moment. So this is her saying, hey, it's been 5 years since our little adventure. I want to thank you for wanting to speed run our time together, really. A little hint that if you use magic, you're likely going to beat the game faster. Sonata was wrong about magic use, but he was right about me being some sort of chosen one. My abilities have only grown stronger here. I can reshape the falsetto for the better. I don't need you anymore, dear player, so I suggest you leave this realm to this. I know it's a little corny, but it still goes a little hard. It still goes a little hard. She's like, hey, I'm better than you. Screw you. Get out of here. This is my place now. And you know what? It slaps. It kind of slaps. But yeah. Fire ending. Fire ending. Not the intended ending, but I'm like, well, we gotta have just the evil ending. But yeah, that one, that one I actually kind of reworked some of the dialogue in the ending to also hint at, like, her being, there are options in that final confrontation with Silencio where you could be like, I'll rule this place, or like, stuff makes sense, and stuff that are like technically the negative ending dialogue options, right? But yeah, it's kind of hinting that if you're playing and you're like, oh, I kind of just wish there was a way to just why not just be magic and take over like this realm, right? You can do that. If that's what you want, you can do that. And it's like I wanted it to kind of like be hidden away. So it's like you play through it and you're like, I kind of wish that I could just take this place over. I've been like spamming magic. I'm gonna stay in the falsetto, but I wish I kind of ruled it. Kind of like it's a little surprise. Actually, wait a minute. I realized that ending says 5 years later. Canonically, it's 5 years since since we released Sonata Theory. So this would be when, if you had that ending, this is 2026 is when Cadence has assumed full authority over the falsetto. So happy 5 years, everybody. I'm not quite done with this portion yet. I do want to show you guys a little behind the scenes of the Unreal file. Originally Unreal 4, though we'll be looking at it on Unreal 5, so I don't have to install another game engine on here. And then we're also going to, I'll see if I can find any of the prototype photos that I have. I think I have them on my Google Drive somewhere. So we're going to do that for maybe another like half an hour to an hour. And then last hour of stream, we're going to go all in the Splatfest. I actually wasn't able to play a lot since the Splatfest prep we did last week. So I haven't played like at all. My gear is very low. I have like no rank at all in it yet. We are just jumping into the very last hour of the Splatfest for pure vibes. I have no idea who's in the lead or anything, so we'll just be a vibey way to end stream and then we'll call it there. But let me run a BRB real quick and let those ads play through, and then we will jump into the behind the scenes, everybody, so sit tight. Alright, welcome back, everybody. My tummy's still hurting. But it's okay. Hold on a minute. Swap to this cam so I can not look sick, but I'm opening up the Unreal file for Sonata Theory. So we just played through the whole game if you are just now tuning in. So if you want to see the finished product for that 5-year-old game, you are welcome to. However, let me also open up, see if I can find some files of the, I don't know if I have the prototype file so much anymore, but I might have the dev files. I do have the dev files. Ooh! Can I just open all of these in new tabs? Yeah, let me open all of these babies in new tabs. We'll start with the dev photos, actually. I haven't looked at, I don't know if we looked at all of these. I think I found a different folder that didn't have all of these in it necessarily. So I'm excited because I'm like, wait, I haven't seen these in a long time. It's taken forever. Why is Google Drive such a pain? Oh my goodness. I just want to show off my stuff. Okay. There we go. So they're a little grainy. They're They're old. They've been transferred a bunch of times, so they're not. Let me pull my bangs out. Hold on. There we go. Get that forehead out of here. Oh my god. Anyway, they're a little old. They're a little grainy, but these are some of the early dev photos for the prototype level that you might have heard us talking about on stream, especially with folks that have been here since my college days. They remember these prototypes and stuff. But yeah, this was the quick prototype that just took like a week to mock up with everybody. The artist mocked up some characters and some concept sketches. Our producer mocked up a quick little game design document, a GDD, and then my part was figuring out, could we get the different mechanics that we wanted working and prototyping them, mainly the camera mechanic, the dialogue system, and as well as the ability to play cutscenes, which doesn't sound like as complicated as it is, and it is super easy, but just having no experience doing that, I'm like, I gotta figure out where to start with that. So yeah, we have this prototype here, and I was able to get all those basics working, so this was basically testing that. It's also using a lot of school assets because I had a lot of those from a project I had done the previous semester. So this isn't to say the original setting wasn't going to be a school. That wasn't ever the intention, but it was a easy way to kit bash something together. That wasn't just gray box, especially for prototyping stages. I love gray box. Gray box stages are very ugly, but I love them. They're special to me. A lot of people will look at them and be like, it's ugly, therefore it's bad, and won't look at the actual game design behind them. And that hurts me to my core. I guess as an ugly person as well, I don't know. That I always took that, I still take that very personally when they're like, oh, your blockout's ugly. I'm like, then fix it. Okay. I get a little sassy about it sometimes. I think I look too much into it. But this slapped. This was cool. And the main purpose of it, how I mentioned earlier in the stream that a lot of people were having difficulty with like the 2D 3D hybrid approach, and we were like, it's like Paper Mario, and they're like, you can't just say it's like Paper Mario, you have to break it down more than that. Hence why we made this prototype so quickly, because I was a little upset. I think it would have been received a bit better too if we lived in this post world of, you've got all your Octopath Traveler games now, you have all your HD 2D remakes that are gorgeous. This is nowhere near that level, but it's the same it was the same type of intention. It was not received well back in 2020. There was a lot more, even though I think some of those things were starting to show, but it was not as commonplace and as like desired. Like even with all these games, people want a lot more like bigger titles to take on that art direction now. Not in 2020. Not in 2020. Yeah, this prototype, a way for me to describe the environment design, because how we described it from the art perspective is we have 3 artists. They all specialize in really great 2D art, so we're going to give them that platform. But the justification 3D wise was really, I needed a 3D space for my portfolio, was really that justification. So this angle is really what sold it. I'm like, the visuals of it are like you're playing in a dollhouse, but instead of playing with dolls, you're playing with like 2D sprites. So I actually designed this like a dollhouse. I think my reference images were like Barbie dream houses and stuff as well, and like little pet shop sets that I had to, and Polly Pocket stuff, to be like, everything needs to be designed in a way that we don't care about like what's on the back walls. It's just like what we're looking forward into with. And stuff. So that was that design here, and the basic flow of the prototype was you could walk around. There was a button you could hit that changed the scenario for the entire space. Originally, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted it to be like you could walk around the apartment, and at any given time you could change it to the falsetto version and back again. We learned why it's hard to do that. I don't actually know how games accomplish that still. I've worked on a few professional things that have tried to do it, and it has been like a lot of late night sobbing. So there's games like Split Fiction that I've played recently, and I'm like, I don't actually know how they accomplished that. I'm like, I don't know if they also went through a lot of like tears, crying and throwing up, or if they had like a really solid system, or just technologies made it a lot easier to run all of that at the same time and swap between. A lot of easy ways to do that when loading into a level are like using different scenarios, using different level streaming, using different sub-levels and stuff like that are quick ways to do that, but on a large scale, changing an entire environment back and forth really quickly is hard, so you usually have to fake it to some degree. At least you did a little bit on Unreal Engine 4, or you have to know more about optimization than I did at the time, to be fair. But we were able to get that working in the prototype version, but we changed it once the map like grew 5 times in size, right? We had to scope that down, but it was working here. So you could it was still music based. You'd pull up the menu. It was like a green tinted menu at the time. We might see it in here. And you could go back and forth. You'd make your way through the school. You could talk to different NPCs, and we'd have like how those portraits showed up on screen, and the dialogue system visuals working to show that it had a bit of a visual novel feel. And then when you made your way up to the classroom and interacted with, I think just to be, there's no reason for it, but just to be funny, I had it when you interacted with the toilet at the end, it would play a little SpongeBob clip to test the animatic system that we did end up using just for one animatic, granted. But again, originally we planned to have more, so that's why. But yeah, that's the dollhouse view of it. This is the very early, like, day 1 of the prototype. We had actually Cadence and Minuet in these spots by the end of the week. But yeah, day 1 I just had a little PNG figure, and we just had a little cat. And this is why I'm saying, like, I do get the appeal to be like, oh, we can like generate all these assets now to get our ideas across. But then I think you're kind of like, you're already thinking too much about like visual implications and not like the core design itself, right? I got my point across just grabbing stuff off of Google Images. I'm like, what are the funniest things to put here? It took me the same amount of time. It did not take a ton of time to import a random cat picture into the editor, right? It was so simple, even college me could do it, right? So we were able to get this working day 1 in the prototype, and you can even see with like the dialogue choices here, may we be friends, why convince me, that we had the friendship system planned from the very beginning. The specifics, not quite yet, granted, but that was something we always wanted. And then we had, again, the area would become very green tinted for whenever we wanted the falsetto version, and plants would kind of grow throughout it and block the way. So it was originally going to be a bit more of a puzzle. We wanted it to be a bit more of a puzzle adventure. Some of those features are still in, like the stuff around the bloody nose kind of puzzle, like, do you break down the door, do you break through the vents, or do you befriend people and do like kind of a trade quest to get into that room, and do you befriend people naturally or using magic anyway, and if you use magic there, why didn't you just use it to break into the room in the first place? So that's kind of what we did, but it was going to be a bit more Zelda puzzly. I always, when in doubt, would want to design more like Zelda games, so I wanted to pull more from that, but ended up not due to mental health, to be honest. But yeah, we originally had something where some areas would be blocked in the falsetto versions and others would not be in the real world, so you would want to swap back and forth between the two. But since we lost that mechanic, we lost some of the puzzles associated with it. This is the very early version of that menu, but even then we knew we wanted the destruction spell and the charisma spell. Those both made it to the final version, but there was originally a healing one, because it wasn't going to be like fighting enemies, but we did want to do stuff where it's like if you're like being reckless with destruction, or like if you're doing like too many extra things that have a bit more risk to them, we wanted to have some sort of way to deal damage, or even ways to heal other people, if not necessarily for yourself. I was just kind of thinking how to fill that other spot for stuff, and I'm like, we'll probably need a healing spell, but there's no, other than the bloody nose, there's no violence at all in the game, so or combat for that matter, so healing ended up being replaced with levitation, which still is kind of just an extra for fun spell. There's not a lot of stuff we implemented with it other than to just fly around, and it's good for speedrunning, and it's good for getting a view of the whole map and investigating things. But yeah, if there's one spell that would have done less, it would have been having a healing spell in. Yeah, here's when we added the very first versions. These got edited quite a bit when they got revised for the final shipping versions, but these are the early versions of Cadence and Minuet. Like I said, those were our first characters we had, even though Minuet ended up never being fully like scoped to fruition and ended up only having like a little bit of a part to play in the falsetto and no part at all in the real world. She was present from the very beginning, and then Cadence has been here since the very beginning, and we always knew we wanted Cadence as the main character as well. We always knew it was going to be a magic girl. That was just kind of not a debate, because everyone collectively agreed before development. We're like, it will be a magic girl game. And majority of the team was guys. They just rocked with the magic girl concept. They were just real ones. But then this is, so that was the prototype. This is the first actual gray box for the apartment layout itself, so you can see the different rooms. You can see I used a lot of BSPs. I would not have built this out in BSPs. Now looking back on it, I would have gotten some actual block out tools and made some block out meshes first and then built using those. But I was being a goof. I was being silly, so I use these. But yeah, we can even see the layout's pretty much the same. I really didn't change the layout too much after this, other than adding the roof. I think even now, this is only 2 floors. Adding the roof and adding one more lower floor. But this is kind of the middle chunk of it. You can even see the Cadence like sprite over here and more detail in the main apartment room. Here's like more of the front-on version of it. Oh, that's a little too far. This is like the simpler, earlier version of like the dialogue chart for chapter 1, because we also needed to do this because it was our demo, so we did need to get it done before everything else. But yeah, I'm trying to see how much of this is actually one-to-one. Cadence wakes up in the falsetto, meets Sonata, she learns about the world and its magic and decides to help Sonata out. Oh, I kind of wish I implemented this. This is cool. I think I just ran out of time. But if you were to use levitation to go to the roof, you would have heard Silencio like talking to you and foreshadowing stuff. I kind of wish we had time to do that, now that I think about it. But yeah, we still have the options. Befriends people in the building to find out there's a man named Braz having nosebleeds. And then all the different, I think the green are like friendships that you can make. So yeah, we've got Devin, Riff, Zay. Yeah, those are all pretty much the same. And different variations that the cafe drinks can go to. So yeah, we have destruction magic to break the vent or to break down the door. Entering Braz's room. I really like making flowcharts like this, actually. I know this isn't as easy to read as just having one left to right, but I was addicted to making flowcharts for everything. I kind of wish I had a chance. I still like to use flowcharts, even whether it's required or not. I like to use flowcharts in all my paper designs, even to this day, across all different tiers of paper design and the different industry tiers. Nothing hits like a good flowchart does to me. It's like I enter a flow state making them, unironically. But yeah, even from the start, the color coding was reds for magic, greens for friendship. Originally, it was going to be you could trade to get a key to the vent, and then I'm like, why would there be a key to the vent? So that's why I changed to the screwdriver. But yeah, this is all pretty much one-to-one with what ended up being, except for a few things that got altered technically or like cut for time. This is all pretty similar to the flow that ends up being in the final thing, so that makes me happy that we were able to accomplish that. This was the prototype of the actual, like, dialogue boxes itself, before we had all the UI assets put in visually, so this was just getting it up and working with the Unreal buttons. And as you can see, the "do you think any girls here are, you know, an account to the blood," that was around from even the prototype, the early development days. And this is the more cleaned up version of that. This is where we have the final portrait version of Cadence, as you can see here, but the sprite for her and Sonata are still a bit more outdated, and this is the early sprite version of Sonata, still not his final version. He was even more emo in this version. We toned him down a little bit more for the final version, and then even more when he gets healed, so hence why our character artist was so, even though I was like, make him as emo as you want, but I think she just toned him down to help with the style too. But she was attached to sickly Sonata. Was her favorite. But then this is a further, so not the final product, but I would say the final block out. So if you were to compare this to this, going back and forth between the two, that's the difference I would say between an initial blockout and a final blockout. A blockout 1 is just fully structural. It might not even be fully walkable yet. It's just there will be walls here, there will be floors here, and doors here. It will take up this amount of space. It won't really be readable necessarily yet, but it will technically be the amount of space needed. So you know where you as a designer will be able to visualize where everything goes with something like this, but anyone else looking at it won't be able to, which is why I always get hesitant to show people stuff in an initial blockout. I'm like, okay, initial blockout's done. You won't like it. You will not like it though. Please be nice. And then something like this is more of a final blockout where, again, it might not even be fully playable still. There might be some things missing. There won't be any art in it quite yet, except for a few specific things like the art meshes here in the like little outdoor area, but it does a much better job at conveying through color language and shape language where stuff is supposed to be. So like all these windows here, to kind of show that that's the side of the apartment that would have windows, right? And then I think this was originally going to be like a little swimming pool up here. I think we ended up changing it just to keep it a bit simpler, but this was still always going to be like open seating garden area and then actual like garden area. So yeah, I think these cubes were actually something from the blockout phase for like the greenhouse that didn't get hidden, I guess, didn't get deleted. So that's a bug that I didn't find until today. And then, yeah, if you want the difference from initial blockout, final blockout, and then first art pass, because this still, I would say, isn't even the final art pass. There were some lighting changes that we did afterwards to this, but I would say this is still pretty far along. So now this is what that all looks like with our assets. Like I said, gray boxes are ugly, but they communicate where stuff will go so that art can come in and make it look like this. It's very important. Because you can see the structure of everything. A good art pass keeps the structure of everything the same, and all the ideas the same, unless... And it's not always one-to-one the same. Like I said, this turned into another seating area instead of a pool because we're like, water. Water's scary. So this turned into another seating area. But that was a decision we had collectively as a team, which is what made it work well to kind of change that and update that. But everything else we're able to update through the art perspective. So yeah, that is all of the prototype and early development stuff I have. Looking at the file itself, we have this title menu thing, and here's where I'm gonna scare you all right off the bat first. A lot of scripting for this is done in the level blueprint, and this is not this is not optimization friendly at all. This is not optimization friendly at all. If you're new to scripting, it is smart to do stuff in their own blueprints, or if you're doing stuff in the level blueprints, at least really utilize reusing events and not copy and pasting the same thing a bunch of times that we're going to see a bit later in one of the other level blueprints. However, I also want to point out that we were able to ship this. we were able to self-publish this. It does technically work, so if you feel bad about your stuff, keep that in mind. But yeah, we have a lot of the UI and stuff. Actually, like, this is title menu, but it's an empty space because the title menu is just like a HUD thing. It's just a UI thing. Just a big widget that we can find right here, and then this plays. Yeah, I think we set this up to, I forget where, but it's black here because it's running and playing the video that we have connected to it. So yeah, create the widget, add it to viewport, disabling character movement because there's technically a character in there. And then I think that was a variable to set like what type of level this is. And then of course allowing quit on escape for easy access. But yeah, it's pretty simple. The title screen widget itself, no, that's not what. Where's the blueprint stuff at? What? Okay, technically we made this on Unreal Engine 4, but oh, there it is. But I had to open it in Unreal Engine 5 because that's what I have on here right now. But yeah, as you can see, there's not a lot in the title menu stuff because we have it all in here. It's all in here. We've got the media player. Yeah, Sonata Theory opening. I don't know if we have... yeah, a file path. I think the file path is missing. I don't think I imported it into the project itself properly, so that is missing and gone. Oh my gosh, there's so much. So much for all of the different buttons, but basically the functionality, and that's the thing to think about with games. Like, this shows, like, how much you have to know if you're on a small team. You have to know such a variety of things, because, like, there's a little bit of setting up animation you have to know, playing animatics, then sound, and you have to think about the delay, to actually, like, after that animatics, start the next thing, loading in the background, opening the level, like, even just that simple animatic playing at the start, there's so much stuff setting up, and running different things, and this is the smaller one, too. So it's a lot to consider. Looking at one of the other levels, let's look at the falsetto chapter. This was also our demo chapter, basically. Though we had a separate, I think we just duplicated off of it once we did the demo stuff. But look how bright it is in here. Oh my gosh. But we got our sprites. I don't know why it's listing all the blueprints as bad. I don't know why, what? But these were, oh my goodness. So this is our dialogue system. Do you see why I spent so many late nights on this? This is our dialogue system. I think this is mostly copy pasted for each thing. Though I think I did have to copy paste it depending on how many conversations there were. Oh my god. No wonder I have mental health issues, man. I'm reading through all of this like, oh my god. Oh, what? I think actually this is pretty much copy pasted and this is just how the system works itself. But I had to go in for each character and set the different values for their portraits, for their sound effects, and for like the different negative, neutral, and positive versions of each of that, and what those results of it would be. And then as well, I think for specific conversations, yeah, once combo's done, is when we set if you can get the journal entry for that character or not, and then if you have talked to them to proceed to the next one. So a lot of this scripting in this game was done via booleans, aka like true false statements. That was the backbone of this. It was just, can you do this, yes or no? If yes, then do this. If no, then do this. But then you multiply it over tracking like a dozen different types of things, even for a game this small, and that's how it balloons up like that. Like, let's look at one of the Sonata ones. This is one of the simpler ones, and look at all this. And then we also have some use of other events. We have some use of going to other events. But yeah, these dialogue tools, this was a heavy amount of the scripting. In fact, to the point where I'm like, could I do this again? I don't know. I think I'd approach it from a different angle. I think it would get to a point where it is that complex. There's kind of a point on projects where you look at your stuff and you're like, I actually don't remember how we got here, but I do know what stuff cannot be messed with anymore because of that, and what stuff to continue altering, which is why like experience is something super important on the team, just because like a lot of stuff goes undocumented in the industry, unfortunately, and it's like that means all that knowledge on how like something like this is working is just sitting in someone's brain, and if they decide they're just sick of it, or if they get laid off one day, that knowledge just evaporates. It's gone forever, and someone has to reverse engineer all of that then. So that's why having people on your team, even if they're not the most experienced in the industry, like whoever's been on the team longest in your department, if they like know what's going on, they're an incredibly valuable resource because of that. But yeah, this was what the falsetto looked like. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the level blueprint here. Not bad. So I had a little section here for all the events to do if, and I know there's a better way to do this. But I didn't at the time. I did not at the time. So the way the destruction spell works is it actually per chapter, whenever you overlap, or not even overlap, it's off of event tick. One thing I know, do not use event tick for anything unless you absolutely have to. This gave a lot of people nightmares. It might be, if you're a programmer, this is giving you nightmares right now. But yeah, it was checking like, are these booleans true? And these would get set true if you overlapped with them, and it's like, if true, when this is cast, because that's the event, then it basically plays out all the different events for breaking stuff, right? But yeah, these are all our different near events are with overlaps. These are pretty simple. On overlap, set to true. On end overlap, set to false. That's pretty common. I would organize it a lot better than this though, and I I would have just all these overlaps in general be in one corner and then go into an event and have those events play out somewhere else. Because what happens here in the middle is I have custom scripting off of all of them instead of just sending them to an event and keeping this all in a corner. And you can see all of these start to merge together a little bit instead of just using events, so that kind of sucked. And then we also have the journal things. Some of these journal things, like the laundry journal thing, some of them are just visual journal entries. Other journal entries, like picking up the laundry, allows you to be able to go help bras, right? So that affects a lot of different things with the journal entry as well, and then that variable goes into this check for having the laundry when both walking back up to the laundry machine and also walking back up the bras. So there's a lot of stuff. And then this is just the journal scripting for the blood part of the journal in general up here. So this is that's the first chapter. Y'all wanna see the others? Also, we did these all in the persistent level as well. Because I knew how to do sub-levels and stuff, but there was this emphasis on when I was in college on like some of my first like internship projects, it was like, if you're using sub-levels, it's because you're going to be using heavy amounts of level streaming. And level streaming, we didn't, on my first like little internship project, we didn't learn how to do it correctly, because that kind of like then shifted into a different project because of the pandemic, so that knowledge was kind of put on pause and it never resumed at the time. So I didn't properly learn how to do both separately, level streaming and managing sub-levels. They're unrelated things. Completely unrelated things, by the way. Unrelated skills you could learn. That I learned how to do in the industry. Thankfully, with hands-on experience. But yeah, just kind of, I assumed like, oh, well, we don't need sub-levels if we're not going to be doing heavy amounts of level streaming, and because I didn't know how to learn it properly, we were like, let's just do it all in the persistent level. Looking back, I would have done the basic, what we do in our stream setups. A gameplay level, a block out level, and an art level at the bare minimum. That way we could have set up, we did this without source control also, so we just like sent the file back on the Google Drive. We kind of did like a Google Drive setup, where we would like pass the file back and forth on that, and we did like an honor system. Not really an honor system is never really an honor system. Properly, if used in full-time development, it is the worst. But within a friend group where it was just like only 2 of us were really in the editor at the time, it was like, hey, I'm gonna work on it until this date, and then I'll check in with you just to be safe, but then you're free to work on it until this date. Because when I handed the falsetto map off to be arted, I was working on the real world map and the scripting and that, and when I handed that off, I went back to the falsetto map after it was arted and cleaned it up. So that's how it worked. Which works well if there's 2 people in editor. Any more than that, you need source control. You absolutely need source control if you could set it up. But yeah, I would have done sub-level stuff to allow us to work on more stuff at the same time. And also to just allow for better workflow management in general, and also to keep the block out levels instead of just deleting it and replacing those things as well. Just because I'm a sentimental person. With full-time development, it's like when something gets shipped, all of those blockouts get deleted anyway, but you can like sneak in and like archive them on your own for reference later and for in documentation. But yeah, blockout stuff doesn't make it in the files to shipping, of course. There is a purge of that stuff, but it is helpful to hold on to for reference in case art deletes something, to be like, oh, I didn't know you wanted that there. You could pull it back up and be like, this was the original intention, what we're trying to go for here. And then, yeah, to have for people to look for in the future and be like, how did they do this? Oh, we can look at the old level here. That makes it a bit clearer. So let's look at the real world chapter. originally we were going to have the final chapter be streamed in and out with each other, but and they're two separate maps as well, which had its own tricky things to do blueprint wise. Yeah, here's all our like character overlap interactions, and here's the ones that go on the longest, mainly. Why'd the stuff with Hayasumi go on the longest, actually? I think anyone you could trade with, like, had a ton of stuff. Especially, you could not only trade with him, but you can get a core thing, which is the milk. And then same with Devon's character. Is that you need the pickles to trade for. So that stuff had a bunch of stuff. Otherwise, it's basically just you set if you are near them. That way it sets if you can use the dialogue tool later on as well. All of like our music setup is also done here at the top, as well as what type of sprite is used for cadence, and like the different settings for the level are all kind of set off of event begin play. Which I learned later in my career. Sometimes event begin play, sometimes for setup stuff you want to use like a different like initialization event, or even like a pre-manager event, or something that comes before. Sometimes people have custom ones for their custom versions of the engine. But yeah, sometimes you want to use stuff that's not on event begin play. I think I ran into this while working on like a mission system on a project where I was having the missions like set up on begin play, but they weren't showing up when I hit play. Then I was like, what's going on? It's because the level stuff would get made before begin play on an earlier event, and then it wouldn't have the mission stuff in it, and it would be like, oh, there's no mission information. And then it would like load the character in, and then the mission stuff would toggle afterwards, but you were already loaded into the map, so the mission stuff would toggle, but there was nothing for it to do, nowhere for it to show up, because it wasn't present during all of that setup. So I had to actually go find where in the initialization process that mission stuff is being called, and slot my mission stuff to be on the event like before that, so there is information to pull before you load in. So event begin play is old faithful if you're on a smaller project. But if you're on a larger project and you're noticing bugs with something not loading in on start, look into what is happening before begin play, because there is stuff that happens beforehand. Yeah, journal stuff, level trigger boxes. This thing runs on booleans and trigger boxes. That's the whole level scripting. And it really became there was a point where people were like, yeah, we want to help out with scripting and stuff too where needed. And I'm like, I also want you to help out. And I'm like, but can you decipher any of this? And it's like, we could get more systems that would help you out. It became like a type of madness that only the person on it can read, which is why having extra time for documentation if possible is good, or having someone alongside from the start that can also equally read that stuff is good. Even on larger teams, sometimes this type of stuff, like one person will own one type of system, and it's kind of meant to be like a knowledge sharing thing, but it could end up like this. I've seen this stuff across like AA and AAA as well. Not nearly this level, to be fair, that I had, but I've seen some really complex systems that I've like asked around and been like, how does this work? And there's just been terror, and it's been like, nobody knows, just don't touch it. I'm like, I've been given a task to touch it, and they're like, then goodbye. Farewell, you're not gonna make it much longer. I'm like, oh. I think my funniest, like, not my dev story, but the funniest like dev story I've seen from like AAA stuff is like Nintendo with like I think it was like a behind the scenes, not from Nintendo themselves, but one of those like behind the scenes channels, looking at Super Mario Sunshine and like going out of bounds with that, and is finding that there's like a tiny block out cube that in one cutscene in Sunshine, Mario is like standing on. There's no gameplay attached to it. It isn't visible in game. And then there's like not, it doesn't do anything afterwards. So like the purpose of it, it doesn't have an effect gameplay wise visually on anything. The purpose is unknown, but if that cube is deleted, the whole game crashes. The whole game corrupts and crashes immediately. So it's just like, that's the cube. You can't touch it. You can't do anything with it. There are some things like that in your favorite games. There are probably some elements that are like, no one knows how this works. If you sneeze at it, the whole project will corrupt. So please do not look at it or open it ever. It is not ideal. It is not wanted, but it is also, you've got to be realistic and know that sometimes those bad situations will happen. And you have to think, what do you do in that situation as well? You never strive for it, but it's always good to be prepared and be aware. This space is so cool, man. Look at the little food pack we got for the bakery. I was like, we need a food pack. Look at them apples. Fire Emblem who? Like... But really quickly, we'll go into one of the final level. Not both of them, because I do want to get to playing some Splatoon here for the last hour. But yeah, for the final level of the falsetto, we'll look at its level blueprint real quick. Cause yeah, it gets big. It gets big. So this one's, there's a lot of overlaps because we had to make it important for anyone to be able to befriend anyone here in these back and forth of the final levels maps that you can just teleport between. And that's why I had to set all of these to Booleans late. They weren't initially, I think there's a lot of other, like, variables in here. There's a lot of, like, stuff that, actually, it's the game mode. Where's the game mode blueprint? Yeah, where are they? Is it not in here? It's the game something. I thought it was the game mode. I don't know why this is in all caps. Game. Or world settings? I swear it was the game mode. I'm like, we had to save, or is it the game inst? Yes, it's the game instance. Okay, so this is how we were able to go back and forth between the maps and keep the friendship values, because I realized that every time you were loading into a map, the friendship would reset, and I'm like, how do we get that across maps? The game instance keeps it persistent across the entire game as you play. So these, every time you get them in general, will stay throughout the whole game until you are reset. Since we don't have a save system for this game, that means when you exit the game, it automatically resets. So this is that event kicking that off so that you can replay it. Though originally this was also set as an event in case we wanted to implement a save system, but those are difficult. So implement if you want. This was advice that was given to us, that we just didn't take as seriously as we needed to, I think, that I now give to others, knowing that it will be ignored, but at least I could pass on this warning as well. If you want to have saving in your game, look into that sooner rather than later. We didn't, and we didn't end up doing it because of that. Just because you have to think, I don't think it's probably that hard to follow a tutorial for at the beginning of your project. You could probably set it up and be like, oh, that's really easy. Why did someone make a big deal about that online, right? But if you look into it after you have all of these variables being tracked, then it becomes harder to implement from scratch later on when there's this much stuff to check and set up. So these are all the variables that we set across all the different chapters here, including not integers, these are floats, but the floats are for the friendship stuff, the booleans are for different key items, and key events. We've got a bunch of finale stuff that are also booleans. The notes collected, so that way you can go back and forth between the real world and the falsetto. And then, yeah, the journal as well gets reset on reset variables. So it's not necessarily, this isn't necessarily, it is by default being tracked in its own. That was something we got off the asset source, so it is being tracked through there, but we had to have a way to reset it so that it wasn't like the journal was complete, but you were still starting a new game type of thing, so. And that's all there in the game instance. That's where you put that stuff. Or actually blueprints in general could have set up just a blueprint that can exist outside of and keep track of that information outside of all of the different things. There's a variety of different data assets that can do that, but that ended up being what worked the best for us. I guess I'll look at the third person character real quick too. Because yeah, this is where all the charisma scripting goes, is in the stuff. This is where you can just magically befriend anyone, so lots of casting to the game instance in this case. Which I think is also unhealthy to do. And then destruction scripting as well. So a lot of the magic stuff, the events you'll notice, and the variables kick off in the level blueprints, but then there's actually a lot of further Boolean setting in the character blueprint itself, because that is where the note inputs actually are. So all the soundboard stuff actually is within the third person character itself. So that way we have the keybinds, which I think you can do in other blueprints, but this is just how I was familiar with it at the time. And then this is how the sprite faces left or right. I think this is the flipbook logic to, it doesn't look like a lot, especially compared to everything else now, but yeah, this is the basic flipbook logic to keep you facing the front in a 3D space. So that kind of Paper Mario HD 2D type of design in place here. And this is a funny little thing. So these are default VR things that are included in these third-person character blueprints for Unreal Engine. We did not design this game to be compatible with VR. We assumed it wasn't. I had deleted most of the other stuff that we didn't need and purged it, but I was also afraid to delete too much stuff out of the character blueprint because that's a pretty core blueprint. I didn't want to just delete things I didn't know how they worked, especially like stuff with input actions. I was afraid to delete the event, so this thing kind of got like stuck here, and as you can see, it doesn't even compile correctly. Maybe that's because we're on Unreal Engine 5 right now, but as you can see, it doesn't even compile correctly, so we assumed VR did not work. But my now boyfriend, he actually looked into this a couple days before asking me out. He was curious and he looked on a VR headset in Sonata Theory, and it does apparently work. You can look around the space. It's very buggy, because it was not intended for that at all, but you can technically like move around. I don't know if you can even technically play it that way. I don't think we have any VR sets. I have one back at my parents' place. I just don't feel need to invest in it right now, unless I develop more of an interest in developing stuff for it. But yeah, I don't even know if you could do the game fully and beat it in there. I'd be very curious what levitation looked like in there, but I don't know if you could actually even access the soundboard with VR controls, because I think you could really just move. I don't think you could properly interact with everything and do any of the dialogue, so maybe you couldn't even get out of that first room with that in mind, but you can technically look around that apartment room in 3D in VR apparently. So just a little fun fact. I'm not gonna push something and risk breaking the whole game to delete that. I'm like, that's cool. That's a cool little thing. But yeah, that is the behind the scenes. That's pretty much the behind the scenes of everything I have to show this year off for it. Like I said, Mage Studios, if we ever want to do I'm not opposed to the idea of making another game with that group of friends. Should they ever want to in the future, I think that could be very fun. But I also know we're all at very busy points in our lives, and we want to be meeting up on like friend trips at like Disney World and stuff. We want to be relieving stress, not necessarily creating some. So Mage Studios, not officially dead in the water, could come back one day, but no new plans for anything from us. It was a college capstone that we wrapped up, and then we thought, let's push it just a little further and see if we can get this bad boy out on Steam. And we did, and very happy. All those people are living beautiful lives in and out of the industry right now. And many of them stream on Twitch. Our producer friend streams on his handle Hayasumi, hence his character, as well occasionally with some like occasional either scary games or fighting games. He's really good. He's my friend that's like very good at fighting games. So it will be like once in a while he'll go live and just like show something off his PlayStation, which is cool. But for some more regular streamers, Bello, who was our UI artist on stuff, does a lot of like crafting stuff now over on his channel. So you can check that out if you're interested in that type of work. A lot of IRL stuff as well, which is pretty cool. And then I think she might still be streaming currently now at the same time as me, but she's also our remote artist Patui, who did a lot of the character art for the game, including our girl Cadence and our guy Sonata, so our main characters. So she streams live over at Patui. Her channel has grown over the past few years. Has become a very big, not like ultra ninja status big type of thing, but she's a very big art streamer. Her popularity has just grown. She's got a lot of big community, a lot of commissions she's working through, and she's actually participating in a big art fight thing right now. I think her stream title was like Revenge, so I don't know how that's going, but she's exacting revenge, and she's got a very cute little mage VTuber as well. And it's very, very good streams to work in as well, because all her streams nowadays are mostly like art and work and chill streams. So if you're someone that likes to listen to something while working, highly recommend checking her channel out, because it's just the perfect spot to creatively recharge and chill out for a bit. But yeah, amazing group of people. This project definitely just set me on the path for what I want to do with this stuff in my life, and I look back on it very fondly. So I'm glad we were able to celebrate the 5-year anniversary today of that. That being said, I think I'll start leaving some gaps between these milestone years instead of streaming it every year, doing it on years that are a bit bigger. So I want to give us like a 2-year gap before the next stream. So we might not do an anniversary stream for this next year. We might wait until the 7-year anniversary, right? And then after that, we might wait until the 10-year anniversary, and then we might wait till like the 15-year anniversary, which feels crazy to say right now. But we might let it like cook a little longer in between things. All to say so that that way I'm not like repeating the exact same thing every year. I want to give myself time to have like new perspectives on things, even though I have the past few years. I feel like we're at the point where now we can let a little more time simmer and stuff, especially with the way the industry is. I'm chilling. I'm chilling right now. It's not like that steep learning curve I felt I had when I first got into like AAA, and then was like bouncing around a lot of different projects, and then like with layoffs and stuff. I feel like currently, knock on wood, but currently like more stable and stuff, and just more like bigger life changes going on. So it's like I don't mind letting my thoughts on Sonata Theory like simmer for a couple years, and then revisiting at the 7-year mark and seeing, all right, it's been a bit. How much do I remember now that 2 years have passed versus 1? Because I really opened this up now just to stream it and talk to you guys about it and reminisce on the anniversary. Except for the occasional, like seeing like the new Steam comments and stuff come in whenever I can tell students are playing it over at my college at the end of their semesters. But thank you to anyone that's supported this channel throughout college, this channel recently, as all of my friends' stuff, and just this game's development in general. Whether you were following it back then and helped support when it first released, or whether you've discovered it and just found a liking for it in recent years. It means a lot. I always say with game development, I'm like, I don't think I'm the type of person I know I'm not going to change the world. I know I'm probably not going to be like, I'm not going to be the lead director on like a Game of the Year title or anything. I don't think my impact will ever be that big, honestly, but I'm like, if I can make stuff that make people like laugh and smile or feel any sort of emotion for a little bit, if I can do just that for one moment for at least one person, then I've impacted that person. And that's my goal as I think, as a level designer, is to have that reach, not necessarily in terms of numbers, but in terms of like impact on people individually. I think even with my release levels, I've been able to see people react the way like I anticipated and wanted them to react to certain things, and that has brought me a lot of happiness. And Sonata Theory is not perfect, but I was able to see some people have some of those reactions and thoughts similar to what I had wanted to convey, and those really meant a lot to me. And I hope that just this project existing in the way it does in the first place is also inspiring to people. Your first work doesn't have to be perfect, but and you shouldn't crunch on it, you shouldn't aim for bare minimum or anything, but put your heart into it. But no, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be something that you want to learn from and that you put your heart and soul into, and you have to get it out there in the world. I think that's a very important soft skill to have, that is equally as important as knowing Unreal Engine in general. Hello, my cat is my cat just realized we're going to play a motion-based game, Splatoon, so he is naturally But with that being said, I'm going to end the VOD here. So, VOD watchers, thank you for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to see all of the endings, I think I went into all of the endings and played them in a bit more discussion on the main Emily Cookie Dough channel last year. But otherwise, I will see you guys again for the 7-year anniversary, I think, of Sonata Theory. I might give or take a year or a few months. We'll kind of just play it again. Whatever the next big milestone year for it is, I'll kind of decide on a whim, but I'm feeling like we give it 2 years. So whenever I see you guys next for another Sonata Theory stream, wherever I am next in life, I guess, I'll see you guys then. Otherwise, I do a lot of game dev stuff still. You can find those VODs on the VOD channel. I will be taking a break from them a bit here later in the summer, just to kind of recover from some burnout, but we have a couple more morning streams planned at the end of this month for game dev stuff, so I hope to see you guys then or in the future for more Sonata Theory anniversaries. But until then, take care, VOD. Goodbye.